You're not allowed to say that live.
I don't think so. I don't know. Like, there's this clause talking about how like you can use it for artistic reasons. So like you can use it in a song, but I can't use it when I'm talking about your song. So we're live now. I just got notified on my phone that the live is rolling, and
All
so
right.
welcome to. I guess I'll say welcome to my first segment of what I'm calling around the music. This is where I'm trying to um, hit up some different kind of content. I want to talk to some artists, not necessarily about music, because I feel like everybody that's going to hit you up is always going to want to hit you up. I want to talk about your music, but everybody that's going to ever hit you up is going to want to talk about, you know, what you got in that last album, what you got in the next album, all that stuff. I want to talk to you about some personal values too around that. You know what I mean?
Cool. Let's
So,
get it.
so we got a comment already in the chat though from Ray Chekalski. I can't say that name. Chekalski, I'm guessing. He said, hello from Maine. He said, hey, what up? Hey, Alpha, and hey, Chuck. So, how you feel about Chuck? Not a lot of Charles.
Um, Whatever. It's whatever. I don't. I used to go a long time ago when I was in like high school, and before that even by Chuck. So I haven't gone by Chuck since I was a kid though. Since I was like in high school,
Yeah,
but a lot of people who know me from that like call me that still. So it is what it is.
yeah. I feel that. You choking on them grapes, brother?
I just no, I just actually called myself Chuck in one of my songs, uh a new verse I just recorded. So it's
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. I introduced myself as Charles because that's just I'm on my grown man shit and stuff.
I feel that. I feel that my government name, my first name,
I'm
is
trying. I'm sorry, man.
no, I'm with you, man. Like my first name is Jeffrey, and so like people call me Jeff all the time. I'm like, don't do that. Like, call me Jeffrey. Like, you too lazy to add three extra letters to it? Come
Yeah,
on now. Like,
that's funny.
come on.
I'm.
Uh,
It's hard for I like it's so when I say Charles though, because I guess kind of the way I talk. Uh, Sometimes people have heard Jeff or Sean. People have that like Sean, and I have to repeat my name like 3 or 4 times. So sometimes I just like I wish I just went by Mesus all the time or something because I feel like that you can't butcher that one. Although I've had that butchered too. So
yeah. I think I may have butchered it the first time I checked out one of your tracks. I said, "Is it Mesus? Is it Mesus? Like,
yeah,
what are
yeah.
we looking at here?" Because I'm like,
Hey, that's not butchered. I've heard people say mucus. I've heard yeah, Mises, yeah. There's some interesting interpretations. I'm like, man, I thought that would be a pretty easy one, but people are starting to catch on. So
yeah, I feel that. I'm gonna say this real quick because you asked if I was a 2A fan. Background to all
hmm
my videos. This started a couple of months ago. I started keeping it just because so many people looking to get upset right now. I do actually have my AK in the background of all my videos right now, and so
damn,
I actually got a comment the other day asking me to take it down because it makes me seem unsupportive. I still haven't got a response to what I seem unsupportive of. I'm not sure how that seems me or makes me seem unsympathetic, unsupportive, whatever the case may be. But just so you know, I am firmly on that 2A grind, so no hate there
yeah,
at all.
yeah. I didn't even see because it kind of blends in with that stand there,
Yeah,
but yeah, it's good to know, man. Yeah.
yeah, man.
I'm gonna be picking up a few more before the election. That's for sure.
Yeah, man. Like we got to be watching because like I'm terrified like how all this turns out with rots and everything. Especially all this stuff right now. I don't know how much of the news you've been watching or how many topics because we'll talk about news in a minute because that's one of the songs I want to talk to you about. But I don't know how many of the headlines you've been seeing lately. But
Yeah,
definitely, when we're talking about what's going on right now, Trump getting COVID, Trump, you know, all this stuff and everybody talking about these tax returns nonsense, even though, I mean, really, if they had access to that, the IRS would have went after that a while back. You know what I mean? Like, just so much in this news cycle right now is so broken.
yes.
Like, and just, but I do want to talk about those stuff in a minute. but I don't just want to talk about music, so I want to make sure, um, I ain't tying it too close, and I do want to talk about the song news here in a little bit.
For sure.
But so one thing I want to ask up front, and
All right.
and and this is a question 100% for me, is a little bit about your grind, because one thing I noticed, like, you come up with a couple of albums over the past couple of months, like
Yeah.
you've got another album dropping, I think, what, next weekend, next Saturday, something like that.
Yeah, 10th, whenever that is. I think it's Saturday.
I got it on my pre-order on iTunes, so I'm gonna be rocking it as soon as you get it. But
Appreciate that.
but like, you got a sick grind, and I know a lot of those songs been out for a minute. I was looking over the track list for the new album, and so one of the things that really stood out to me was that you've been going pretty hard, and you're pulling everything together. And one of the things I told replied one of the comments on my channel was, it looks like with this new album, you're kind of cleaning out everything that we've heard. So where are we going from there? What's your grind look like right now?
Where are we going from Dear Rap?
Yeah.
Well, up until yesterday, it was Saint Mesus. I was going to drop an album called Saint Mesus, November 1st. And I decided to hold off a little bit on that one. But that's where I'm going next. Yeah, St. Mesus is kind of like, I'm really excited about St. Mesus. I've been wanting to drop that one for a while, but or finish that one for a while. But I I've recorded so many songs. Right now I'm just trying to kind of put these projects together to make sense. And then like what happens is I'll get the framework of a project, and then about the other 20% of it I kind of fill in. Yeah. I really wanna take time and put out more content, more videos for the projects that I've already put out.
Yeah.
And for Dear Rap. Because it's funny, because like these albums, it's like I feel like if I put a video out off of like FU or off of Eracism, like people would almost be like disappointed, because it's like, oh, that's an old album, but it's like literally 2 months old. You know what I mean? Like, so I really want to take time and really concentrate on Dear Rap, and putting out a lot of content videos for that. And then like as I can, I'm trying to shoot some videos for the projects that I already released that I still wanted to put out. I mean, Eracism's got a ton of videos out off of it, but FU I think only have like 2. So I want to get at least one for Our Father, and I want to get one for hopefully for the Gates of Hell joint. So
It's funny you said that, because like I made a couple of notes for myself about some specific songs that I wanted to talk to you about, and off of Eracism, those were the top 2 joints that I wanted to mention, because really, really looking at Eracism, when we initially talked, I told you, I wanted to check out the album before we had a chat. I wanted to look into, kind of what was coming off of Eracism for sure before we sat down. And while I was looking through it, off of Eracism, I'm looking at the notes on my phone real quick just to make sure I'm keeping myself honest. Some of the notes that I made, of course, Humanity's like at the top of my list. So Humanity, you tied that in, and I kind of get mixed up a little bit, because you sent that as the pre-order giveaway for the FU album,
right.
But looking at that track, first of all, I want to talk about, that gave me, like, that was fully a turnaround song for me. I was going through one of my own valleys in my life. I was kind of hitting one of those hard times. And when I saw it, that was you commented on the reaction, and you were talking about, in the third verse, I kind of called out before you got to it that you were going
Hmm.
to turn it around and talk about society and everything. And one thing that got to me, you were talking first person throughout the first two verses, but you were really
Right.
talking kind of in that line of what's the term I'm looking for, um, like a reprobate mind, somebody who's turned away from Christ,
Oh
turned
yeah, yeah,
away
yeah.
from, yeah.
Yep.
And when you got to the third verse, you turned around, you were talking about, this is about humanity. This is where we're at. We've turned away from the cross. We've turned away from Christ. We've turned away from, legitimate values. And that
Right.
song, I mean, to this day, like, my wife was getting mad at me earlier because I kept playing it on repeat, because that song in my mind just resonates so much. And so, I mean, talk to me a little bit about that song. Like, where did that come from? Like, what's going on with that one? Because,
That song was completely came out of nowhere. I was driving and kind of just scrolling on my phone, listening to stuff on YouTube because I drive a lot. I used to live in Chicago, now I'm in St. Louis, and all my music stuff. I mean, lived there for most of my life, so my videographer lives up that way, my engineer lives up that way, so I'm back and forth quite a bit between here and there.
yeah,
And it's a 4 hour trip, 5 hour trip. So I was just on my way to the studio to um, finish up the FU album. I'm not sure. I was on my way to finish up some work, and I heard that beat, and I wrote the song like on the spot, like in my head, like on the ride to the studio, and I was just like, we got other songs going on this album, So
yeah,
yeah, that and it happens. That happens pretty frequent. That's what I mean. Like I have like the theme, the framework of a project, and then I always kind of try to leave a little bit of margin for I know there's going to be those like inspiration last minute songs that. And the funny thing is, a lot of times those end up being like the first one I drop off the project because usually probably because I'm super excited about it.
yeah,
It's like I've been working on the other stuff and it's kind of like old news to me.
yeah,
So that's
yeah.
kind of usually what it is.
Yeah, that's
But
what I was thinking, because like you had some tracks on a racism, like you had the Nick Cannon tracks and everything on a racism.
hmm
And I mean, they
hmm
they they fit the tone of the album. So like, I get
yeah,
what you're saying, especially what you were saying earlier about trying to make sure everything you've recorded kind of comes together. I like
hmm
that. I like albums that have like a theme, that have something.
yep,
You're not just making songs; you're making a message.
yep.
And I really like how those kind of came together. And so I was assuming, and that was kind of why I led off kind of asking about your grind, because I know, especially in the new track music, you mentioned, you wrote all this stuff and you got all this stuff laying around. And
hmm
so one question before we go further: from the music album, were those actual like notes that you've made yourself, like actual liners and everything that are going around the walls and all that?
On the walls, those are straight out of my notebooks.
That's
I ripped out all my notes, not even all of them, but yeah, I put yeah, it took me like 2 days to put all those on my wall.
that's awesome. Um, because I know I got a couple of questions kind of coming through on the live chat, and so some people, I want to give you a chance to answer some of the questions that some people got. But
For sure.
before I move into that, I do want to ask a question, since we were talking about the albums, and I think I misspoke earlier. I said off of racism, off of the FU album.
Right. Yeah, I know
Uh,
what you mean.
you talked about you were coming up with a video to Our Father and all that, and so that was one of the most touching songs to me, because when we talk about like children without parents, without having both parents, um,
hmm
I played with my daughter for like 2 hours or something this morning before I came down for this. And so, one thing that I want her to know, even though, I work my day job, I do the YouTube thing, I do all this stuff, like I want to still be impactful in her life, because one thing I've always thought is, not having a father and a mother, honestly. Um,
hmm
but really not having a father, that strong person in your household, that strong influence in your life, is a lot of what's wrong with society today. And one thing that you talk about
Facts.
is, these boys that aren't men. And so I am looking forward to the video that you're coming up with for it, number one, because I'm gonna jump on that as soon as it drops. But number
Amen.
two, like talk to me a little bit about that. Like tell me about that song. Like dig into that for me.
That was another one of exactly what I was just saying. So my albums, which I'm sure you probably noticed, I always put the album title down the middle of the album for the artwork, and then the album songs go through the name of it, like the middle letter I use to name, whatever for every song. So originally, and I'm gonna try not to get you in trouble with YouTube. That was the F. That was the F on the FU album. It was the second song. So I had the intro and then I had the F, and it was perfect, but ucked was the name of that song. So, but I just last minute I heard that track, and that's from a producer I work with a lot. But I heard that track because that's what I didn't say about the other one, the Humanity one. That was a completely random producer, never worked with a guy before. A couple people were like mad at me that I didn't know because I didn't say who was featured on. I was like, I don't know who the artist was. It was on the track already. I have no problem giving props where, I wish I knew I wanted her in the video. I tried emailing the guy and just wasn't having it. But yeah, Our Father was something that just kind of poured out of me. And again, it was like, I'm like, this has got to go on out. That album was pretty much done, and I just replaced that song. I was like, no, this is 10 times better than the song. And it is. The other song is a funny song. It's basically the concept of it is like, everybody puts their their best foot forward when they're dating someone, and the whole concept of the song is just like me just being like, this is everything I suck at. Like, it talks about being the perfect guy. I'm like, I'm the fucked guy. You know what I mean? And like, it's just like, I say the most ridiculous things in the song, but I'm very grateful that song came out instead, because I really, and my dad, he died when I was a kid. So I was fortunate enough to have a stepdad when I was about 6. My mom remarried, so he's pretty much dad, or he is dad, I should say. But having a father in the house is in my opinion the number one problem with society. I think we have a lot of other issues that we need to fix, but if there were fathers in the home, and that's not to discredit women. It's so crazy when you say things like that I actually have to clarify myself when I say that. But it's not to women. I love you, ladies. You're what. See, the thing is, when you say a father in the house, really what I mean, and this might sound old school, and again, some people might think I don't care though. It really means a man out there being a man, bringing home the bacon, so to speak, so that there's someone home to nurture the kids, because that's what women. But instead, you got these single women they got to be a man, and they got to be a woman and a man, and they're not a man. So it's pulling them out of their identity and making them act a certain way. And at the end of the day, they can't really be that anyway. And so it's like the kids are going to walk all over them, and it's just, it's a broken home, and you got broken home, broken society. It's not a very hard concept, but so that song I definitely want to shoot a video for. Like I said, I feel like I'm moving so fast that I'm missing some really important points that I want to make. And I know the audio's out there and people can listen to it, but there's something about putting a visual to it that I think helps people connect the dots a little better with certain songs, at least ones that have a message, I guess. So definitely looking forward to that one. Not sure when it'll get done, but
I'm looking forward to it too. Like I said, I mean, I saw the argument. I can't remember who I first saw make it, but it was kind of along those same lines, saying, race, skin color is not the issue in America. It's fathers being gone and stuff like that. And so, I think you actually use that line in the song too. And when I heard it,
Yeah.
I'm like, man, that's where it's at. Like, we've got a generation of boys who are afraid because of toxic masculinity or whatever, which,
Yep.
used to be considered chivalry and all that. They're
Yeah.
afraid to be men. They're afraid to be
Yeah.
masculine. And
That's crazy.
so, yeah, so I mean, that song really spoke to me, and I know I'm looking forward to that video. I'm sure a ton of people are too.
I'm looking forward to it. I have as much. I'm having fun now, man. Now that it's actually something I can do, and
No, man, you're set up. I think when I hit up the first reaction to one of your songs, it was the White Sin. I think you were, I mean, you were still kind of coming along on subscribers and everything like that. And I was like, hey,
yeah,
man, this guy's dope. Like, why is he not picked up yet? And
yeah,
fast forward now, you're almost at 80,000 or something like that. Like,
yeah. It's moving, man. It's definitely people are showing like yourself, and a lot of people are showing a lot of love, and yeah. I mean, I'm just trying my best. The big thing I've noticed though is the growth is consistent, but I've noticed, it's like when I put Trump 2020, when I put some White Sin, when I put something like that out, that's when I get these huge increments, and that's cool. But like and that's why I wanted to slow down on this Dear Rap one and actually just lay into this one instead of just breezing past it, because this album is 15 songs of me speaking to rap directly and speaking to the people who love rap directly, and my relationship, if you will, with hip hop music. And I want to make sure that that is crystal clear to anyone who follows me, who I am and what I'm
yeah,
about, because I don't, and this is no shot at guys like Tom McDonald or whoever else might do things like that, but I don't want to be pegged into this box of all I do is make controversial stuff,
yeah,
because unfortunately, like Eminem, I remember when Eminem said, "I created a monster, and then nobody wants to see Shady no more.
yeah.
They
Without
want
me,
nobody wants to see Marshall no more. They want Shady. I'm chopped liver." And
yeah,
it's like, I don't want to do that. I do not
yeah.
want people to be like, I don't want Mesus no more. I want whatever you call when I make some controversial stuff. I don't want that. So
Yeah, I think,
yeah,
and I think you spoke to that kind of on the track "Get Out" too a little bit.
yes,
You were talking about not hitting up. You couldn't make it big without clickbait or something like that.
right,
You kind of hit on that vibe, talking about I'm more than just the clickbait. I'm more than just these tracks that are coming out, and I've always felt that way. I feel like, honestly, I feel like some of your best tracks are the ones that aren't even on YouTube. I mean, and that's
appreciate that.
just me. Like when we go with like tracks like Our Father, where we're talking about actual issues right here.
Yeah,
So let me look through, because I know a lot of people kind of showing up in the chat, a lot of people asking questions. I want to make sure I give some people kind of sub to my channel a chance to ask you some questions, because I've got a ton of personal questions. I really want to talk about your faith, because that was kind of what this whole thing hinged on. Is as somebody who's different, kind of carrying that torch. I want to talk to you about that, but I want to make sure we get some chances to kind of give you guys some questions from some people in the chat here. And so
cool.
I got right here. I think you'll like this one. She started it off really well. It's actually one of my patrons on Patreon. It's Amy Lee Forever. She asked, "Hey, here's a pro-Dem girl, so pro-Democrat girl. I
All
have to
right.
say your music is really good, and most of your music's no one can deny." Okay, I didn't read that one, but she is shouting you out. She's liking your lyrics, liking your music and everything. So at least give you that.
Okay.
Let's
Much
see.
love. I'm not a big party guy anyways. I'm more of just kind of, a person guy, who you are as a person as far as the parties go. It feels like, unfortunately, the left is kind of, I don't know, it appears that they've really kind of steered into a very radical direction. That
Yeah,
doesn't mean that everybody that's on that side of the argument is really in agreement with that side of that. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
just like you could say there's radical right guys. You know what I mean? Like or girls or whatever. You know, like so. Yeah, I'm not a big party guy. I'm not to jump ahead about the faith thing, but even the banner on my regular Facebook says, you know, no matter who is president, Jesus is king. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, I vote, but I pray, and my faith is in God. At the end of the day, like I'm not gonna really put my faith in man to really do anything, but hopefully their best, and you know, whatever it's gonna play out the way God wants it to play out either way. So,
Yeah.
you know,
No, I'm with you on that. God,
but
God,
once,
God is first 100% on that, and you know, I think I mentioned it in some of your reactions, some of my reactions to your music too. Like, you know, to me, I'm a registered libertarian. At heart, I'm a libertarian. You know, I
mm-hmm.
mean, and that's the thing. I mean, 100%, we probably don't see eye to eye on politics, but at the end of the day, you know, I mean, we're moving toward that same goal. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
I just want to see a country where people are truly free,
yeah,
and 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 man, I wish we could get over this race stuff, bro.
yeah,
Like, and I think we've come very far from, and we have a lot compared to what other countries that have our type of. There isn't a country that has the type of multicultural mixing that we have. But that said, you know, there are countries that have obviously multicultural, you know, populations, but I don't think any of them have fought for the freedoms and the I don't know. For getting such a bad rap, I feel like America's done quite a bit in that
yeah,
area. And can we be better? Of course. And is there things that are in our system that need to be uprooted? For sure. But you know, to just throw, what do they say, throw the baby out with the bathwater, I think that's crazy. I mean, America is still the best place in the world to live, you know, and that's not coming from someone. I've had so many conversations with people who've traveled all around the world. I haven't yet, unfortunately. I would love to, but I know a lot of people have been all around this world, and they say, you know, they're not just saying it as some cliche thing to say. It's the truth, you know.
yeah. No, I feel that. I've lived in 7 different countries, and I haven't found a better one yet. So, so
Amen.
I'm with
So good.
that. Uh, so a couple more shout outs. I'm gonna keep going until I find a question here. Shout out to Dan because he's been planning on jumping in here. He wanted to let you know your videographer does great work. I think that's you, isn't it?
Thank you, Dan. Well, my videographer, his name is Scott Josephs. At least who I've been working with for at least this year, last year, primarily. Is I think I think he's going to name his company Eddie Scott. But yeah, he's the guy behind the camera, and I've been I've been doing all the editing and all that. So I kind of, me and him, just I sat down with him one day and I said, I'll figure this out if you can if you can help me, if you can do it. And he said, let's get it. So
Okay.
yeah, he's dope though, man. He definitely has been a huge help, enormous help.
Yeah, he does do great work. I haven't seen a bad music video you've dropped. So I mean, you know, the combination of you guys is fantastic. Uh, we got to mention apparently somebody here, Eric, another one of my patrons, didn't never been into rap, didn't know who you were. Sampled some of the videos from your channel just now. Thinks you're very interesting. Dan says, "Who's Nick Cannon? I don't know this name you speak of." And Gabe replied, "Hey Dan, Nick Cannon is a guest in hip hop. He's not invited over much." I thought you'd like that.
It's funny, man. Oh gosh. Hey,
Uh,
you know, that was I just, you know, what's funny is I actually have uh I got a video for Black and White dropping on eracism.
really?
So I'm excited about that one. But you know, it's funny because I mentioned Nick again in that song just briefly, but
Yeah.
it's just like, oh, I just want to get past that now. But yeah, I mean, And it's funny, man. I really didn't try to ride a wave. I mean, I had that song, wrote that song, guest recorded and everything before any of that stuff with him and popped, because I was genuinely pissed off about the interview that I saw with him and DJ Vlad, and I had a personal relationship with his whole camp like way before any of that happened, and
Yeah.
and I was just genuinely like, damn, that's how you feel about white people, dog? Like, all right. And so I made the song, and I was working on the Racism project among tons of other projects, and I just kind of put it on the shelf, like with the, when that album got done, it got done. And then that happened, and I was like, maybe I should shoot a video for this. And then it just grabbed, dude. And yeah.
Yeah,
Then I had to do Home just because everybody thought that was like a diss. I was like, no, that was not a diss. This is a diss. Home is a diss. Like the first one was my point, and it just happens to diss his character because he dissed himself. I just pointed it out.
Home was personal, man. Like in
Oh yeah,
guest, like that was general, that was broad. Like I caught it. Like, and I'll say this too, one of the things I wanted to ask you about was kind of how you feel about kind of living in that, because I feel like for a lot of channels, not mine necessarily, but for a lot of channels, a lot of reactors, a lot of people who discovered you, they are kind of looking at you as that guy who went at Nick, after he dissed him.
right.
And I don't see you that way because I didn't check out either of those tracks until Racism dropped, and it wasn't because I didn't see them. I saw them, but it was just I was reacting to your stuff on the channel, and then once I got to the point where it was like, hey, do I check out Guest or Home? A lot of my longtime subscribers know, I was asking, when do we get around to these? What order do we go in? All that. By the time I got around to them, I'd pre-ordered Racism. I saw them on the track list. Yeah, and I'm like, we just wait until this drops. Like, I want to listen to the whole thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I finally hit him up, and I'm like, yeah, man, but one is straight up just talking general. We're just talking about the music industry. We're talking about, and I really related to that message because I'm 30 years old. I grew up listening to hip hop. Like I grew up, it wasn't any of this stuff. And I'm like, where's the person who represents me in hip hop? Like where's the person who says, this isn't about color. This isn't any of this stuff, because now hip hop, it's like if you're not, on one side or the other, you got to pick a side. And it shouldn't be that way. And I felt like you really brought that in that song, and especially with the line about Michael Jordan, like that was the one that stood out to me the most there. Talking about, hey, we've been crossing culture for decades, for generations at this point. Like get past it, so. But I will say I missed too at the end. You walk into the house and it's the house of hip hop. I did miss in my reaction that you were walking into the house of hip hop right there. So
yeah. Well, and you know what? It's to be continued. And Purge was actually the next video that was going to follow. The guy that shot Guest, we went back there, like, because as soon as Guest caught, I was like, bro, I don't care what you're doing. We need to drop another video. Like, this is, like, we got to, man. Like, this thing caught, we got dropped. And so we shot Purge. And out in the cold, man, it was a cold. It was in the middle of the winter. And we shot that. And that was in that haunted house, same haunted house that we shot in front of. And and my video, a different guy's name's Izzy. We didn't end up dropping Purge till like May or something like that, and he was giving me some. He was like, so we couldn't have waited till it was warm out to shoot that one. But I didn't. What happened is I dropped the Home video because after I kind of realized, like, man, everybody thinks this is like a diss, and I know why. I mean, I labeled it diss, so I get it, but I didn't realize it was turning into what it was.
Yeah.
I just responded because I saw Nick's video took. I didn't know everybody was going to turn that into some big, like, let's fire off at Nick and there was going to be these million disses. Like, I didn't know that was going to happen. I just wanted to weigh in my 2 cents while I felt like it was relevant. And then when I got swooped into that whole, like, battle thing, and then I was like, okay, let me throw it this one. And then what's crazy is, dude, I dropped that, and then I didn't drop anything until social distancing.
Yeah.
3 months, 3 months, I went like radio silent. Like, who does that? I went from 600 subs to 30,000 subs, and then went radio silent for 6 months, bro, or 3 months. And I didn't do it on purpose, man. It was just like I was working on other stuff with some other artists I work with, and then I was like, I gotta put something out. And then I got so depressed, dude, because I dropped social distancing. Not depressed, but like disappointed. And that thing just went. and the thing is, I think I know why. I didn't originally put Mesus on the title. It just was called social distancing. And I was in a big sumo suit, and like people see it and they don't even recognize my fit. You know what I mean? So like, it's starting to catch now, but.
So tell me about that, because you said you didn't put Mises in the title on that one. One thing that I noticed, and one thing that I noticed in the comments on one of my reactions to your videos, what was the reason that you went from your real name to Mises? I know, I've heard you talk before about Mises, being Jesus in me and all that, but what was the reason for the change? I mean,
so okay, originally, man, I've gone through a lot of artist name changes. Like when I was like 18, 17, 18, I went by Devious, which was DVS, and it stood for Dope Vocal Skills, but it was also like Devious,
Yeah.
And that was my thing, and that's what I went by. And then I'll keep it really short, but I found the Lord, and then I didn't like that. I looked it up in a dictionary literally the day after I was saved. And it was this little small pocket dictionary. It was at my uncle's mechanic shop. And I just looked it up, and it said deceitful, like trickery, something like that. And then what really bothered me is it was like the word right below devil or something like that. And I was just like, I felt like I was living my life like under the devil. And so I was like, I don't really like that. So I went to A of the dictionary just out of curiosity, and just was like, maybe I'll just flip through the dictionary and I'll find something. And I got like 2-3 pages in, and I got to absolute, and it meant pure, free from restriction, definite. And I picked that day. I went by absolute. And then like 3 years later, I woke up on my birthday, my 22nd birthday, and I was like, I want to get that tattooed. And I don't have any tattoos, don't have any other ones. But I got it. I got it on my arm here, like a dictionary. And I got the definition going through it. Here's the crazy thing about that. I went to my friends that's really good at drawing. I said, hey, I want to get this tattoo. Can you draw it up so I can bring it to the guy? Yeah, cool. Go get my dictionary. So I go get this big Webster dictionary from him, and it says the same definition: absolute, pure, free from restriction, definite. But then it goes on to say the first cause, God. So the definition of absolute is God. But in the little pocket dictionary I saw, all it said was pure, free from restriction, definite. It didn't have the rest of that extended definition. But I chose that name, no joke, less than 12 hours after I was saved. I went to sleep, woke up the next morning, opened that dictionary, picked that name because devious was under devil. Then 3 years later, I get that tattoo and find out that the name means God. So tell me God ain't real. But anyways, went by absolute forever. I went by absolute up until about maybe 5 years ago, when I just started going by Cosetti for short for my last name. And then I wanted to it kind of came full circle. I went by DVS, and then I started going by CJC, which was my initials, CJC.
Yeah.
But it meant like see Jesus Christ. And that was kind of when I was actually writing just straight Christian rap stuff. And then from there, it kind of morphed into one song that's on St. Mesus that'll be coming out. I said, I'm not Jesus, I'm Mesus. I'm just trying to stand for believers who know we ain't perfect, but he is.
Yeah.
And that was it. Like after I wrote that line, I was like, I gotta go by Mesus. Like that's it. Like that's the name. And I wrote that song probably like 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago. So it's been that ever since. And I don't think I'll ever, if I ever went by anything else, it would just be my government name again. I would never change like a different artist name.
So let me ask then, because you talked about when you were writing straight Christian rap, and
Hmm.
you kind of transitioned. Because I mean, I don't consider the music that you make to be necessary. I mean, it's in a weird place. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, absolutely.
it's Christian rap. Like the message is fully intact, but it doesn't. Christian rap,
Yeah.
usually prides itself on kind of being kind of clean and not
Yep.
not kind of having those gritty pieces. And
Yep.
that's one thing I think that really draws me to your music, honestly, because it's not just intentionally cleaned down. It's not edited. It's like
Yeah.
acknowledging your flaws, acknowledging my flaws, acknowledging who we are, but at the same time, it's like the message is intact.
Yeah.
Biblically, that's what matters at the end of the day. And so,
Yeah.
kind of talk to me about that transition. I didn't plan on asking you about that, but since you mentioned it, I want to kind of hear what prompted that, I guess.
So I was writing normal music, like I said, when I was a kid, and then just whatever. And then when I was saved, like this switch flip, and all of a sudden, like I didn't cuss and like none of my music anymore. And I didn't choose it. I wasn't trying to. I just did not have. I was just writing and writing and writing, and I was just like, I didn't cuss in another song. Oh, yeah. And it was just, and then, and then I kind of started like I don't know what the word is, but like I just started shifting towards like trying to get into the game. And again, it wasn't like now I'm gonna cuss in my music again. It wasn't like that. I just started, I guess, talking about more worldly subjects and stuff. And as I did that, it started to pull, I guess, language or whatever you want to call back out of me.
Yeah.
And so that started to happen. And then I I don't really think you can get resaved, but I kind of got resaved through a crazy process. It was like 10 years later, and I went through uh, uh, just a crazy process, and I really kind of found God like in a different way, and it made me really want to like devote my music to Him.
Yeah.
And so that's when I really started making like Christian rap. Like I was at Christian concerts. I was opening up for certain people here and there. I made 2 or 3 Christian albums that never seen the light of day, which I pray and hope they will, because I really want that message out there. But I think time and place is important.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I definitely want to get that back out there. But anyways, then I made this project called Victory Music, and that was kind of my middle ground where I transitioned, where I made this album that was completely like profanity free, but you didn't feel like you were getting hit over the head with a Bible. It was very much just a positive music, like victory music is what I was talking about.
Yeah.
And I actually did release that, but we didn't shoot no videos. I didn't have no type of social media presence, nothing. So it just kind of, I didn't really know what I was doing. Um, and then I started working with a couple other artists on like the behind the scenes stuff for a couple years. I kind of just stepped away from like focusing on my own career at all.
Yeah.
And then that's when I kind of came back, and like I said, the Mesus thing kind of grabbed, and I put out Rap Jesus, and that was kind of the start of it. That was like the birth of Mesus as far as publicly, like people. I was like, okay, and that was the first song. Rap Jesus was the first song I'd ever put out with any profanity in it,
Yeah.
publicly like that. And it was kind of me. That song was actually originally called F Bombs. And when that whole beef happened, I just kind of remixed it and put it on those tracks. And since that, you know, it was the whole rap devil, rap God, all that, it just made sense for me to call that song Rap Jesus, because Mesus, you know. And then it was just, yeah. I feel like a lot of people, if I say anything, the number one comment I see on reactions is underrated. People say it all the time, underrated, or they say something that's just like that. I'm drawing a blank, but or they're like, why isn't this dude have more subs, or where, and the thing is, I really didn't start putting myself out there until basically Rap Jesus. Like that was when I really
Yeah.
started actually putting myself out there, even though I've been doing this for like 20 years. Um, uh, and the other thing is what you were just saying. I'm making a lane.
Yep.
There isn't a lane for me. Like there isn't, like, I'm not a country rapper. I'm not a gangster rapper. I'm not a whatever else kind of rap there is or kind of music. Period. I'm creating a lane right now, and I don't think people know what to do with me. Like, kind of Lecrae kind of said it. And I'm sure you're familiar with Lecrae. Like, Lecrae made that album called Anomaly because he kind of felt like, like the church didn't know what to do with them and the world don't know what to do with them. And
Yep.
I'm kind of the same thing, except for I'm even like a little more rougher around the edges, I guess, because I'm my music isn't clean or whatever,
Yeah.
and but it's funny because I remember when Lecrae's first project came out, After the Music Stops, and that was actually when I met, this is weird. That's actually when I met Nick Cannon's people in 2008. And I
Yeah.
remember being at some store in like a mall in San Diego, and because that's like where his camp's all from. And I'm down there for like a week, and I was just at the mall, just minding my own business, just chilling. And then I saw the shirt that said "Sinner" on it, and I'm still hardcore Christian, but I was like kind of like, what, I was kind of on the wrong side of that hardcore thing where I was like, what? You're proud, be a sinner, and I kind of
Yeah.
like, I saw the shirt and I got offended by it, and I like walked in, and then I realized it was my first experience to like a Christian store, and like I walk in and like, it's got like a Bible verse on the shirt, like it says, I'm a sinner saved by grace, but it
Yeah.
says sinner real big, but then saved by. And anyways, I went to the back of the store and they had music playing. That was the first time I heard Lecrae. And it was '08, and I remember like thinking like he went that route, and basically he's a mainstream artist his whole career,
Yeah.
like, but he just marketed himself as a Christian artist because it's a big fish small pond type of thing, and it was a smart move. And I'm not saying he was fake, I'm not saying he's not a Christian, I'm saying that he specifically, and I'm just not willing to do that. I know it's like a
Yeah.
long answer to saying that, but I'm like, nah, man, I'm not a, if I want to talk about this, I'm going to talk about it, and I shouldn't feel like I can't, and but it's a longer road because you got to make the road
Yeah.
as you go. It's not already created for me to just drive down.
You're putting out what's on your heart. I mean, that's the thing that
Yeah,
speaks to me the most about your music anyway, is like, you're an artist, you're putting out, genuinely what's on your heart. You're not putting yourself in a box, you're not saying this is off limits, that's off limits,
yeah,
you're coming out with it. And I appreciate that. I think a lot of people appreciate that. I've thought about, when the Bible talks about being in the world but not of the world, I mean, that's
yeah,
talking about our spirit. That's not talking about, how we look, anything like that. I mean, having all these tattoos and
yeah,
everything in Kentucky, I mean, that's the thing. I feel like I've reached more people when I talk to them about Christ because I don't
yeah,
look like every other Christian. I'm not coming at them like every other Christian. You know what I
yeah,
mean? I'm
yeah,
not coming at you saying, "Hey, you're going to hell. You need to look at what I'm looking at." I come at them and I'm like, "Hey, we connect over this thing. Now
yeah,
let me talk to you about God." Like,
yeah,
you don't see that, you see it in my life, and now let's talk about this. And I feel like that wins more souls than coming at them like you said, Bible beating, something like that. Like
yeah,
nobody's gonna hear what you have to say about God if they don't see God in you, if they don't see something they want out of what you're
yeah.
doing. And so no, I mean, you taking your own path. I think that's the best route. You know what I mean? Like I think that
Not
is.
the easiest or fastest, that's for sure.
No, but it don't have to be. I mean, at the end of the day, you can see the fruits of your labor, and and
Yeah,
and, and the fact is, people connect with the message you're bringing because it's going to hit those people. It's going to hit those people that don't know God. It's going to hit those people that do know God. It's going to hit those people that maybe they're struggling and they feel like.
yeah.
I know this is my interview of you, but I'm going to tell you a story real quick.
Go
Um,
for it, man.
and it was when I was 17. I first joined the army, right? And
Okay.
I'd been in this Southern Baptist church. I'd been, raised up kind of Bible beaten. And if you're not,
Right.
100% in line with what the membership of the church is, you're out, you're done.
Yeah. Yeah.
and I had all this pressure from my family, and they're like, "Oh, you got to cut your hair," because I had long hair at the time. I had a long beard. You know, I wanted tattoos. I was still listening to rap music, you know, stuff like that. And they're like, "No, no, no! Like when I got saved, you know, God took that away from me, and I just gave those CDs away. I didn't need that anymore." And after a while, you start hearing like, you know, well, I felt compelled to cut my hair when I got saved, or I felt
Hmm.
compelled, you know, to give up this or that when I got saved. And you hear that from enough people, and you start saying, well, did I really get saved? You know, did God really
Yeah,
come into my life?
yeah,
And
hmm,
and that was the most self-destructive thing. I spent probably 5, 6, 7 years, you know, really trying to reestablish my connection, my relationship with God, because of
yeah,
what other people were telling me about their convictions. And so, you know,
right,
I think it's beneficial to somebody to kind of have that person making their own path that they're going to latch onto and say, you know what, I don't have to look like everybody else. I don't have to sound like everybody else to find that connection with God, because our salvation is personal. It's between
right,
us and Christ. Like at the end of the day, like I'm not going to go out and kill people, you know, I'm not going to go out and do these things that are blatantly bad, you know, but at the
right,
end of the day, like my salvation is with Christ. And if somebody on the side of the road wants to say, you know, I don't think this thing is in line with that, or that thing is in line with that, that's not up to them. I think,
no, no,
and I just think that's so important to kind of, you know, kind of keep in mind, you know, while we're going through all this stuff. And I think a lot of that is what you talked about in your gracism track, you know, because really in gracism, you kind of go into, you know, Jesus died for everybody. When he shed blood, he shed it for everybody. It wasn't for
yeah,
your sins or my
yeah,
sins or anything like that. And so that was another track. I mean, we're getting through these pretty quick through the tracks that I wanted to talk to you about, because you know, I mean, it just kind of comes up in who you are, kind of how you carry yourself, and how your salvation kind of presents itself.
amen, amen.
But
Yeah, that's. And you asked, the first question you asked was about, what's next,
yeah,
and that's really what's next, is that Saint Mesus thing. Uh, it's a whole. That's me, I think, stepping into my lane fully. These first
yeah,
few albums that I've been putting out, um, I have kind of like set the tone and kind of cleared up some like kind of. I feel like I'm just kind of getting comfortable. I'm getting in here, and then
yeah,
it's like this Saint Mesus joint. That is the album, and it's proper. I mean, it's what I go by, even though I just go by Mesus. I the whole Saint Mesus thing was because as far as social media goes, handle wise, I wanted something that was uniform.
yeah.
And there was a couple Mesuses that were already took, like Instagram. Somebody had me. She's got like literally like I messaged her like 10 times, like, do you really want to keep this? Like, it's like, so I don't think the person even like, I don't even think it's an active page or nothing, but I was just like, whatever, I don't care. And I went by Mises music forever. And then I just like, I want something that's personal. And then St. Mises, and I searched, like, make sure it was good on all of them. And I was like, yep. And I went with that. But the album really is like, it defines my lane 100% of what I'm trying to do. Who I'm trying to be in this game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, my role, and so I'm really excited about that album, and but I want to make sure I do it right when that album. Like, I'm disappointed. Like right now, I'm like, I feel like Dear Rap is my best album I put out so far, no question. Like, I hope people feel the same, but to me, and maybe they won't because it's not filled with a ton of controversial stuff. It's more like a lot of what you just heard on that new song, Music, and
Yeah.
Dear Rap, and like it's rap, it's rap, but I check every now and then, like actually right after I sent you that email last night, I checked on iTunes, and it's like it's not even doing anywhere close to what the first two are, like, as far as where it's at. And I get, and I'm like, man, I gave this a 2-week pre-order too, and like I'm like, oh, like, what's going on? But
You ain't
so I
got
just
that
want.
clickbait, man.
I know, and the thing is, I mean, I'm okay with that. Like, if something naturally happens that boosts it, cool. But I'm not gonna get thirsty for that, whatever. But that was all to just say, like, I really want to make sure that this next one doesn't fall through the cracks. Because what I'm kind of saying is, I feel like, at least right now, I feel like this is gonna fall through the cracks. I feel like my best project, but I don't. I know the people that really rock with me, it's not going to, and the more I put out, the more people will go back and look. So it'll get heard one way or the other. But
I don't think it'll fall through. I mean, I think like that core. I think there are a lot of people who are really interested in and identify with like who you are at your core. And I
I
mean, if
hope so.
I think that's the big thing. I think there's an album that's kind of going with that, and I think that's what's going to blow up. I mean, for me personally, like I identify with you. You know what I mean? Like I feel like I can turn on a track and I'm like, man, like dude's speaking facts in this song. Like it's not even. I don't even have to say it's facts because it's just that's the reality. And I think there are enough people kind of looking at your personality, looking at what you're talking about in your music. And I promise I came into this saying I'm not going to be fanboying or anything like that. And so like I'm not coming at it from that perspective. I just think that niche right now, like everything is so divided right now between politics or race or whatever. There's so many people who are just kind of waiting back to see that they kind of identify with that message. But I think the Racism album really hits on that a lot because the message of that album is tear down the barriers. Don't be
Yes.
racist on either side. It's like
Yes.
don't be pro black, don't be pro white, just be pro human. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
and I think more people are seeing that over time because of those tracks that you're talking about that have that clickbait that are pulling everybody in. I'm not calling them
Hmm.
clickbait, but I'm
No, I know
saying
what you mean.
yeah, but I'm saying those tracks that are pulling people in, I think they're seeing that, and I think more people are identifying. Because, like I said, I mean, even watching in a couple of months, like how much your channel's blown up and everything, and it's crazy because nobody suggested Mesus to me the first time I hit you up. It was just you had this controversial song that popped up in my suggested feed, and I checked it out, and I was like, man, this dude, he's talking about George Floyd, and he's saying, hey man, George Floyd was done wrong, but don't
Hmm.
blame everybody for what happened wrong to George
Yeah.
Floyd. And
Yeah.
it kind of went from there. And I think there's 100 people like that, and that kind of turned into the tracks that are saying, like the new ones that you're coming out, like Dear Rap, like music, like stuff like that, where you're talking about your mind and you're really getting into. I keep calling that song Dear Rap. It's the talk.
Hmm.
But we're getting into like those things where we're looking at the mind of Mises and we're going through, what is Mises thinking, and
Hmm.
because of that introduction, you get into that. I think that's 100% valid. I think it's relevant to think about while you're, going through all that stuff.
Yeah. Amen.
I got I'm gonna shout out a couple more things from the chat because I know I'm long winded and I've talked over everyone this whole thing. Uh, I got legit free pression has kept me from doing something stupid on more than one occasion. Now my go-to get my head out of my ass song. Hey man, Highly Combustible said that. 100% facts, man. I'm the same way. I latched onto that song when I heard it. You want to talk about that?
Absolutely. So um, that, in my opinion, is probably, at least to date, the most important song I've ever done,
Yeah.
or ever will do. Like I said, in my opinion, at least to date, unless, and I say I very loosely because that song is 1,000% God. The story behind that song is nuts. I was at a prayer service I used to go to at the church when I was up in Chicago, and I would go on Thursdays, and it was like an hour long, and I would just go during the day and just pray. And I heard that word in my head clear as day while I was just praying. I wasn't even praying about, I don't even remember what I was praying about. I was just praying, and I heard that, and I wrote it down on a piece of paper, and I went right back to praying and didn't even really think much of it. About 2 or 3 months later, uh, I was in my apartment that I was living in at the time, and I wrote I locked myself in my apartment. I've never done this ever. I get pretty obsessed with my music. I will stay up till through the night writing a song if I got the rhythm, if I got the creative juices flowing. That's nothing new to me at all. Like I've stayed up through the night more times than I can remember, man. Working on a song or a video or whatever the case. Music, the one I just dropped, I was up till 6 in the morning the day that dropped. Finishing that videos, and then I was back up at 9 a.m. I slept for 3 hours and then got back up because I had to get it ready to like post on YouTube and everything else. So like, yeah, that's nothing new. But this, I locked myself in my apartment for 4 days straight and only left to go get food. That was it. That was the only time I left, was to go get food. And I sat and just wrote and poured that thing out of me. And then at the time, I was like super broke. I have no money to like I was broke, and my videographer at the time said he would. I said, "What can you do it for?" And he said he would do it for 800. And my landlord called me and said, "Hey, do you want to paint downstairs? I'll pay you $800."
What?
Yeah,
Dude,
yeah.
that's
So
insane.
yeah, so I was just like, okay, God. And then I meet up with him in that bridge that we climbed up on. I had no permit for that. I had no nothing. And we did that in broad daylight. And we did that. You can throw a stone from where I was standing and hit the police department. Like it was, and before anybody, I'm sorry, man, I get kind of sensitive about this race thing, but like, oh, see, there's another, like, my videographer is Hispanic and the other guy is a Puerto Rican, so I don't want to hear nothing
Yeah.
about white privilege standing on that bridge in front of the police department. That was God, like, completely just like, this
Yeah.
video is going to happen. We didn't, and bridges, dude, barges went by. No, I mean, nothing. I should have, like, it was like we were ghosts. Like, nobody could even see us. And we shot it, and we edited it, and we actually edited that night and dropped it the next day. That's like 2 years old now, but we dropped it on National Suicide Awareness Day on Facebook at first,
Yeah.
and it caught. That was the first thing I ever did on Facebook that ever kind of went sort of viral, I guess. Not really crazy, like 20. I think it did like 25,000 in a month on Facebook, and then it kind of just tapered off, and it's somewhere around like 75 or something. But like the point is that was 1,000% God. Like I had no control over that. God was going to use someone to put that out, and He just happened to use me, and I'm grateful He did. And as I'm talking to you, I'm looking over at like a mug that a friend made with free pressing on it. Like it's just on I'm just writing my view right now, path of view or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's just the stories that I've gotten from that song are the number one thing that I hold close and cherish, man, because I know that, it's cool when people appreciate wordplay, because I'm a lyricist, and wordplay is like probably like the coolest thing you can get complimented on by, like, as far as a lyricist goes, like when people hear some cool wordplay or your cadence or like the concept of a song or something, that's all like awesome. And I've worked my life to hear stuff
Yeah.
like that. It encourages me, but free pressing is a whole nother level, because people really genuinely say like that song changed their life or helped save their life. And and that's what music, like I just said, in music did for me,
Yeah.
20 whatever, when I was 16, when I wrote my first poem, so um which is the one I was holding in that video, that little blue one. That was literally the first one I ever wrote. But
Yeah.
um yeah, man, free pressing, if I never put another song out, and that's it, and that's, then I can hang my hat on free pressing, because that was that was something special, and I'm just grateful every time someone says something. I don't even know what to say when they say something.
Now I'll tell you, like I think that was the second song of yours that I hit up.
Mm-hmm.
Like I latched onto it because I'm looking at the logo, listening to the lyrics, and in that, I know it, we got depression in there, we got free, and like the theme that I took from that was like free yourself from the depression,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but then like the real thing that was kind of hidden in that, and I don't know if it was intentional or not. Like the words free expression like always stood
Yep.
out to me in that,
Yep.
and that's I think I made a couple of jokes in some of my earlier reactions to your music. I was talking about like I got to catch this shirt because at the time you were only selling the Culture Not Color
Hmm.
hoodie on
Hmm.
your Teespring. I was like, I got to catch this shirt, and as soon as it came up, I mean, I dropped that thing because I'm like this is like the message. You know what? The
Yeah.
message in my life because it's like I've dealt with depression, I've dealt with anxiety, I've dealt with that stuff my whole life, and it's like
Yeah.
kind of hearing that codified, and then hearing you even tied God into it, talking about all the levels in the song, really
Yeah.
looking at, and to me you didn't just tie God into it, you talked about your struggles, following God in that, because there's the point in the video where like kind of the Bible pages, I don't know if it was your journal or it was Bible pages, but they're kind of like ruffled and kind of
Hmm.
fluttering away, and it's just I think about my own struggles, because how many times have I called out to God and not
Hmm.
seen something immediately, and just kind of falling back into those holes that I used to fall into, saying, I'm not there, my faith isn't good enough, I'm not good enough, all this stuff. And that song
Yeah.
is such a message, man.
Yeah. No, free pressure. Yeah, that song definitely, like I said, it was a game changer for me, career wise. It was like a confidence booster, I guess you could call it, because I put myself out there, and it could have gotten completely shut down, especially as a guy. It's just kind of one of them things where we're not supposed to talk about our feelings and blah blah blah, right? So it
Yeah.
was like, and when I put myself out there and it got embraced the way it did, that was a huge confidence boost to me to say, okay, I think I'm going the right direction with this. And then, like I said, the fact that even if I got one message that said something along the lines of what we just heard, that would be enough. But I say this humbly as I humanly possibly can. I've lost count of the DMs and comments that I've read, and to like, I honestly almost, it got to a point where I almost couldn't anymore, because um, they were like so deep that I started feeling like a pressure to like, that was a real song that I wrote out of
Yeah.
myself too. You know what I mean? And I was like,
Yeah.
man, I can't help you guys if I'm tiptoeing on the edge too. And and thank God I found a balance with that. And so now it's like I'm really grateful every time I read something like that now, because it's just like it lets me know I'm not alone. It lets me know that what I'm doing is reaching people and hopefully helping. And yeah, like I said, that song probably the greatest song I'll ever put out. Might not get
Hey,
might not get the most views, or might not get the most attention, but in my opinion, that's not what great is measured on.
I'll tell you, man, like 100%, like, and I love most of your songs. I've talked about a few of them already, but like, Free Impression is still that one that I go back to. Like, myself personally, I'll be sitting downstairs, editing my videos like 11 o'clock at night or something. That's like in
Hmm.
my playlist that's running through and stuff, because it's just like I can sit down and chill and
Hmm.
vibe with that track, because it,
Hmm.
it just it takes me to that place. It's a
Yeah.
place, and it's a place of deliverance. Like I can tell it came from
Yeah.
your soul, and
Yeah.
it's in mine too.
Yeah. It's definitely empowering. That's for sure.
Let's see. I want to catch up on a couple of these comments, and then I got a question for you. Let's see. It amplifies talking about a lot of the things that we're talking about. It's expressed now. Let's see. Uh, Crenny Music, my homie Crenny Music, he's got another reaction channel. I think he's hit up a couple of your tracks too. He wants to let you know he loves you, Mesus.
Appreciate that, bro.
Me and that dude been rocking for a hot minute now, so I love his music too. He's a rapper.
Okay.
Definitely check out some of his songs if you haven't, because the dude's
Yeah. Yeah.
fantastic. But let's see, let's see, loving this podcast. Amplify is not the core reason for it. Dan says, introduced a good friend of mine to Mesus music a month ago, and now every time I stop by, he's listening to the music, playing Mesus. He's became a big fan.
That's what's up, man.
So
That's
what?
dope.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, I just said that's dope. That's dope.
Yeah, man. It's a message you can't get away from, man. I'm saying God's working in it, man, and I 100% appreciate that. Like, can't tell you how much I wore one of your shirts. My church had a revival a couple of weeks ago. I wore one of your shirts to church, and everybody was asking me about it and everything. And I thought it was hilarious. I'm like, yeah, man, like it's a rapper, and they're like, oh, which rapper? Like, let's talk about it. I'm like, man, I'm sitting here in church, like we're going through revival and all this, all these people coming, but
That's
that's what's
funny.
up, man. It's a universal message.
Yeah.
So
Amen.
let me ask you about that. So let's talk
What's
about
up?
church. Kind of sticking on that faith piece for a minute. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
One thing I really wanted to come up, and I know we've been going at this for a while, so feel free to shut me up anytime and tell me you got to go.
Nah,
Um,
we're good.
okay. But on the faith piece, because I do want to talk about that for a little bit, for a minute. So I saw in a comment one day, I think I was watching a reaction on another channel. I don't think it was in one of your comments, but I saw a dude talking. He's like, hey, I was having a conversation with my pastor, and he told me it wasn't okay to be listening to Mesus's music, music like Mesus makes and stuff like that. What are your thoughts on that? Because we kind of touched on it a little bit ago. I was talking about my side of that, and I think from my story, you and probably everyone knows how I feel about it. But what what's your take on that? Like when you hear fans say something like that?
Mm-hmm. Um, I can understand the what's the word I'm looking for? Like the wrestle.
Yeah,
And everybody's got to walk their own walk, man. I mean, what someone can do, someone else might not be able to do. A lot of people. I have a song. I don't know. It's not gonna. Actually, I shouldn't say I don't know. It's not gonna be on Saint Mesus. I might just put it out as an individual single or something. But it's called "Cussin," and it's CUSSIN ? So it's like this whole subject of language and is what's right and what's wrong and what's a sin and what's not. And um, I've been so torn on this subject. That remember I said Rap Jesus is the first song I put out with profanity in it
yeah,
because for whenever I put that out, I don't know, 2017, 2018, you're talking about 2008. That's why I said in Notice that that was my first album, the first cause. Like that
yeah,
was I remember the tattoo I said the first cause,
yeah,
God. So I ended up calling my first album the first cause in 08. 2008 is when I dropped my first album. And by drop I mean we had an album release party at a club and that was it. That was a drop. but
yeah,
but I mean it was CDs and the whole bit, and whatever. And it was cool, a lot of, but I didn't have anything on YouTube at the time. I don't even think I think I had a MySpace. That was it. Like I don't think anybody even had a Facebook or any of that yet. So we put it out. It was cool and whatever. But yeah, the whole I felt really torn, especially that, like I said, then like about a year and a half later is when I really had that kind of like re-salvation or whatever you want to call it, which it's not a salvation again, but it was just kind of like this, whatever, re-encounter with God. And then I started writing all this Christian stuff, which had like no cussing in it at all. And like I
yeah,
said, I had this wrestling match in me forever. And I basically just didn't put anything out until I put Victory out 2014, which is 6 years later, um, after my first album. And so I understand if people wrestle with that, man. I personally don't think that it's wrong, because, well, first of all, the funny thing is if you look at any of my albums, even like if you look at Racism or an album I literally called FU, right? Or this new one, Saint Mesus, or I mean my bad, Dear Rap. Like I guarantee there's less than 5% profanity in the entire project. If you take every single word and you add them all up, and I'm talking about even if you count words like damn, like hell, like I'm talking about literally
Yeah.
all of them, you're talking about maybe 5%, maybe 5% of the album. So you're talking about 95% of this album is completely profanity free. 100% of the album is about like a good message. Like
Yeah.
every song is about, but maybe I say it a little different. But like, you know, I like you served, so this is a perfect example. Any church you go to, on any holiday that celebrates the military, every church does the same thing, right? If there's any members, please stand up. We'd like
Yeah.
to honor you. And you're probably like, oh gosh, you know what I mean, or whatever. But like, you know, and it's a good thing. I'm not knocking it, but I'm just saying I've been to so many churches over the last 20 years. Like, I mean, it's you know, it's gonna happen. Which again, it's like people knock the church, but it's like we honor so many things in society that no, don't get me started. But I'll get on my soapbox. But but you know, my point was, I'm pretty sure, I don't know if you actually went to combat or not, but I'm pretty sure at some point, if you did, or if anybody you were, you know, serving alongside of did, while bullets are breezing by your head or a bomb explodes, you know, 10 feet away or whatever, you're not, you know, if you weren't like, oh shoot, you know what I mean? Like, you know,
Oh
and I'm not
no.
knocking, yeah, I'm not knocking the guy who just never grew up cussing, never said anything like that. And when it went off, he did say, you know, some sort of word that's not a cuss word, whatever. Like, oh, hey, cool. But what I'm saying is, it's like, please don't knock me because of the way I present. Listen to the message and don't knock me because I grew up saying the way and then this
Yep.
is still how I talk. I'm working on it, to be honest. Like, you said, like you were talking about what's next, and I wanted to drop St. Mesus, but I also said, hey, I'm dropping a project a month. I remember saying that, and it's like I still might keep to that because I got so much stuff on deck. I could still drop something. Like I was thinking about dropping this, and the next one I might drop is called Fameless, which is completely, literally, 10 songs, zero cuss,
Yeah.
completely profanity free, and it's not a Christian album. It's not like a gospel album. It's just an album, you know, just like anything else I put out. But I just didn't cuss in any of it,
Yeah.
and I might end up putting that out. But it's just like I saw a guy. He was a Christian guy. He did a reaction to my video. I never seen him before, but he did a reaction to Trump, and he said, "Hey, you know." He said, "Don't knock what this guy's saying because he's using cuss words. Like, listen to what he's saying." And I think that that's important because, like you said, people can get so engulfed in the church culture that they don't even they don't even know what world they're in anymore. Like it's like they think they're in heaven already, and it's like you got to realize, man, like if you're gonna be any use for kingdom work outside of the church, like I'm not saying the church is not kingdom work, and it's but I'm saying if you can't go out and be in this world and be, if you're so holy, I mean, look at God, look at Jesus
Yep.
himself. Jesus had to come from heaven.
Yep.
You know what I mean? If you think you're that holy sitting in your church or whatever, imagine how much holier God is to come from heaven to earth. You know what I mean? Like,
And look at who he hung out with while he was
right,
here.
right. He didn't go to church. He went to church to tell church how to do church,
Yeah.
and then he left.
Exactly.
You know, he was like,
Yeah.
y'all are doing it all wrong. Get it together. I'll be back. You know, and
Yeah.
like, and then he went out and again, I got nothing against the church as a whole. I love the church and I love God's people, and I don't expect any of them to be perfect. You know, but you know, I have a big beef with well, I shouldn't say big beef, but I wrestled with it, and when someone just right away oh, that's wrong. Well, why is it wrong? Why is it wrong to say I could say crap, but I can't say the other word? Like,
Yeah.
what makes that word? But if I'm talking about a dog and I say a Shih Tzu, it's okay. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, it's like what like where's this, you know, where's this line? Like, you know, and I think that gets, into a very legalistic territory where I think, I heard a really cool definition of someone saying what defines the heart defines the word, not the dictionary.
Yeah.
And I always say, I could talk to you and be like, Tyler, you are the most effing like amazing reactor on the internet, and you would not feel insulted by that. But I could
Right.
say you are absolutely the most idiotic, blah blah blah, and use like no cussing and
Yeah.
completely insult you, and
Yeah.
so it's just like it's an adjective. There's a lot of these words they're just descriptive words that you either grew up using, and now at the age I'm at, I'm still using them, and I'm trying not to, because like you said, I really am. I got two younger kids that I'm trying to be, and it's, again, I told them, I heard one of them playing on his game, which, speaking of game, that gaming chair, I think my wife wants to buy me that exact one you're in right now. She
It's a
just
good
sent me
one.
the link to it. I said, I don't know, I want, because they get hot. No, don't they get really hot?
They get warm if you're in them for a while. Yeah.
Yeah, and I said, I don't know, I might want a breathable one, but
Yeah.
anyways, I heard him, going in on the game, and he's talking his trash to the other person, and I overheard him through the door. When he came out, I said, listen, I'm like, that ain't you, like,
Yeah.
because he's such a nice kid, he's like the sweetest, nicest kid. I'm like, that's not you, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not gonna yell at you. I'm not gonna be a hypocrite and say like you can't use those words, because like you hear me, I mean,
Yeah.
he sees my YouTube every time a new song. He's like, oh, hey, why? And I'm like, and I almost kind of cringe, because I'm like, man, I'm not really making that for you. This is for people who've been through what I've been through. But yeah, at the end of the day, to answer that question in a very long-winded way, I just did. But like, everybody's got to walk their own walk, and maybe that pastor knows whoever said that, and it's kind of like the same way I just said to my son, like, yo, that ain't you, you know what I mean, that ain't you.
Right.
Like, so maybe that's just that pastor personally speaking to that person, saying, nah, maybe you shouldn't listen to that dude. And that's totally cool. I respect that pastor, I respect that person. My message is for whoever God wants to hear it, man. And I would
Yeah.
never overstep, a pastor or someone else who thinks otherwise for their particular sheep and things like that they know. So
Well, I think your message is hitting more people than it's not. And one thing I'll say on that, you mentioned the combat and all that. It was about 2 weeks in Afghanistan before, the exact language that we were using went out the window. So I'll tell you, those words, you care a lot less about what you're saying and a lot more
yeah,
about the message you're conveying when
yeah,
you've kind of been in those situations. So,
yeah, yeah.
um,
Amen.
yeah, so I'm 100% with that. Let me ask you about your church though, because
Hmm.
one thing I noticed, you post a lot on Instagram, even from inside your own services, posting like
Yeah.
what's going on during service. I think the first thing, because I'm not super active on Instagram, but the first thing that I really latched onto from your Instagram, you had posted, I think it was during the worship portion, and you had posted, so thankful for having a church that's about God 24/7, not just on Sundays.
Yeah.
And I resonated with that, my brother, because like
Yeah.
that's exactly where I'm at now, and I just my question to you: have you ever hit any struggles? Maybe somebody in your church has heard some of your music or something and kind of come to that conclusion, and they're like, "No, no, no, like we're not with that. Like we're not about that."
I get nothing but love, man.
That's good, man. I'm
Nothing but
hundred
love.
percent.
I get nothing but love, bro. I've um yeah. So the church, I just moved, like I said, to St. Louis. So me and my wife started recently going to a couple new churches. But when I was living in Chicago, or a suburb, I was living in a suburb of Chicago, Joliet. Um, I went to a couple churches out there, and everybody knew me, knew my music, and always showed nothing but love. And and I there was a specific story. Oh, my pastor at the time, what really drew me to even come into that church was he called me out in the middle of prayer, like everybody was praying, and he just called me out and said, "Come up here." And he said, "Now here's the thing, I gotta back up. That was my first time. This is my first time being to this church.
Yeah.
This dude did not know me at all.
Right.
No one except for the guy that invited me knew me. And the dude called me up in the middle of prayer. And he said, "Come here, young man." And I had my eyes closed, so I didn't even know who he was talking to. He said, "You, sir, come here." And like after a couple of times, I opened my eyes, and he's pointing at me. I said, "Oh, all right." So I come up, and he starts saying, "I saw someone with a gun to their head." This is before Free Pressure.
Yeah.
"I saw someone with a gun to their head, and they heard your music, and they took it away from their head." He said, "I see a bunch of words like a bowl of soup, like what do you call that? The alphabet soup."
Yeah.
And he said, "But they're coming together, and they're making statements, and they're making phrases, and they're coming into." And then he's like, "Is this resonating with you at all?" He didn't know me at all, and I'm like, "Yeah, bro." And then he goes, he's like, "Your lyrics are gonna not reach just your generation, but 3 generations beyond you."
Yeah.
And I was just like, and he said lyrics, and I said, "Bro, like," I'm like, "You don't even know me, dog. Like, how do you?" And so, and I obviously after the service went and spoke with him and talked to him, and he kind of mentored me a little bit, and I told him, I said, "Man, my music is not like gospel music, bro." And he was like, "Your music," he said, "your music is gospel for who needs to hear it."
Yeah.
And he said, "You're standing on a pulpit I can't stand on." And I said, "That's what's up." And he told from that day, he never judged me. He never. And then he called me up one other time during the service, and he said, "The world needs to hear God's message, not your message."
Yeah.
That's what he said to me. He said, "You make sure you give them God's message, not your message." And I said, "Yes, sir."
Yeah.
And so yeah, man. I've fortunately, man, I've never. I mean, there may be people behind my back, but personally, I've never had anybody ever say anything but, "Man, love what you're doing. Keep it up." I've gotten a ton of encouragement from the church, which has been
That's awesome.
confirming and necessary, man, because the devil will definitely try to derail you.
Yeah. No, absolutely. So I guess I have two things to say to that. One, I want to tell you another story, and this
Cool.
was back when I was in the Army. I was stationed in Hawaii, and you just kind of jarred up the story. You're talking about kind of getting out there, and we talked about it a little bit earlier. Hitting somebody with that different message, and that
Yeah.
kind of reaffirms a place I was in my life at one point. I was out there. I was like 22 or something like that. I was a single dude. I was making a ton of money.
Yeah.
$300 bar tabs every Friday and everything. And I
Yeah.
remember this one Friday, I stayed in and I'm sitting in the barracks and I've got this friend who's a really good friend of mine. We went to Afghanistan together, all this stuff. And we stayed in one Friday night and we're sitting there just talking, playing rock band or something like that. And but he was a stone cold atheist. And,
Yeah.
we're probably, at least the 12 pack in and everything. And he's like, "So nobody's ever really talked to me about God. Like, why do you believe in God?" He's like, "I believe in this." And he's talking about science and all this stuff. And he's like, "I think this is where, God is disproven." And we ended up, I mean, we had like a 6-hour conversation, just kind of talking about that. And I've always thought about that. And I'm like, but if I wasn't where I was at in life, if I wasn't drinking, if I wasn't like in that exact spot, that exact night,
Yeah.
like this
Yeah.
dude never would have heard about God. How's that
Right.
not of God? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
is and but so many people are so quick to say, you don't need to be in this place. You don't need to be going there. You don't need to be talking to these people.
Yeah.
And that just blows me.
Well, the thing is, we don't in a perfect world, but it's
Yeah.
not a perfect world. And unfortunately, and this is what I'm learning, is that there's kind of a couple ways, at least I've seen so far, that God has worked in my life. Either one, you're on your A game and you get sent
Yeah.
back into, like they call, your watering hole, basically, like, right, you get sent back, or you kind of backslide back,
Yep.
and God will use you on the way back to where you're supposed to be. Either way, you know what
Yep.
I mean? Sometimes you're on your A game and you go in knowing you're on mission and other times we're just human beings, and our life takes a turn for the worse, and we slide back. But the fact that we can't stay there forever. We can't. We got this holy. I forgot what one of my pastors said. Like this holy discontent
Yeah.
with where we're at, and it's like we can't enjoy it the way we would if we weren't saved, or it's like we can't anymore. We're like, this is, and it might be medicinal for a minute or two because we think we're numbing and we're just numbing something, but that's the two ways and so yeah, no, in a perfect world, no, but that's the whole point. It's not a perfect world, so either God's gonna send you if you're AKA or sort of on your perfect game, then you're gonna be sent.
Yeah.
But either way, if you're there, God can still use you, and like He did in that situation for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me ask before. Well, no, let me talk about this first, and then I have one thing I want to ask about the picture behind you. But so you're talking about music though, and you're kind of going into talking about the music, kind of how your church is looked at and everything. I don't know. I asked that. One thing that really stood out to me, that track, "Do You See Me?"
Oh
Like,
yeah, yeah,
I
I love that
slept
song.
I slept on that song, man. I'm not even gonna lie. Like 2 weeks probably after the album dropped, I just slept on it, and it was one of those. I was like, yeah, it's a good song. It's got a nice hook and everything. Just kind of go over it for something more upbeat. You know what I mean?
Yep, yep.
And then one day I'm sitting here, and I think I don't know what I was doing. I may have been at work. But I'm just kind of sitting here, and the song comes on, and I didn't skip it, and I listened through it, and I'm like, man, this is a testimony track, man. Like, this is a
Yeah.
100%. And I noticed, like, there's no cussing in that track. There's nothing like
Nope.
that. That is 100%. Like, that's a testimony track. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like that is, you're talking about fighting demons in that. You're talking about being a threat to them and everything. And that song has lifted me up a ton of times, man. Um,
Dope.
but like I guess my question is, like, number one, after talking to you a little bit, I can kind of see like that kind of comes from shades of kind of where you've been, what you've been through, and everything. um
Hmm.
but and I know this probably isn't the direction you thought this question was going, but you ever like play that song, like you ever get up on stage at church or anything and like rap that song or anything like that during worship time, or like?
No, I haven't, but it would be, what would be my if this whole COVID, if the world goes back to normal, uh, I would love to be able to tour and hit like like a maybe like a wherever I hit Saturday night, basically to make a long story short, wherever I was at Saturday night, I'd love to coordinate my tour so that Sunday morning I can speak at a church and share kind of my story and my testimony and how I found God, because it's crazy. Um, and then, whatever, like hopefully maybe like Sunday night, maybe do like a little more, what I don't care. It depends on the size of the church, I guess, but whatever, like do a show there too. But more on the obviously on the side of Christian music or whatever. So yeah, that would be my goal. But I've yet to do that song anywhere. I've yet to perform anywhere since all this COVID stuff, man. I haven't done anything.
Yeah,
I did a show. Last show I did was in March, I think.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
What's that? Well, okay, before, because I want to know what that's like, because I know that's got to be a pretty crazy change of pace. I do want to say, now I'll tilt the camera over for a second, so you can see my ordination certificate back there. I
Uh
am I am the sound director in my church, all that good jazz. So
huh.
if you end up coming through Kentucky at any point on that tour,
Oh, I'd be so down, bro. I'd be so down. And like to
I'll
be
tell
fair,
you.
man, like dude, I don't know. Like, I mean, you gotta have. I don't even know if I'm at my own personal tour level yet. Like, I don't know. Um, by I would say hopefully by like next summer, I would be at a my own. I mean, that would be super cool if I could do that. But yeah, like right now, I mean, I've just toured. Um, like I was actually about to go on my first tour of where I was actually performing. Because before that, I was doing like Crazy White Boy tour.
Yeah.
You know, stuff like that. What was the one we did before that? Gosh, I forgot the name. We did like two or three back to back, with like Adam
Yeah.
Calhoun and Demon Jones, and couple of, there was like a, I'm trying to think of the other one we did. It was crazy, man. It was like the whole thing was just nuts. But um, I'm still trying to think of the name of it. It's drawing a blank. But yeah, I I think by like next year, I think I'll be able to be in a place where I should be able to do my own tour. I don't know. I mean, we'll see. We'll see how it goes, man. But yeah, I would love to. I mean, I would love to do that. That would be my like ideal, is to perform somewhere Saturday night, you know, whatever city it is, and then
Yeah.
have something set up in that city or somewhere very close
Yeah.
to church the next morning. I think that'd be cool, because the thing is that a lot of people. This is the biggest reason why to me, is I believe a lot of people from Saturday night that would never step foot in the church otherwise would come,
Yeah. I
and
I
I
agree.
think that would be cool.
No, I agree. If you're coming through Kentucky, like I said, make sure to hit me up because we'll find somewhere for you to go. It's not huge, but we got a big parking lot. So,
Well, we'll see, man. We'll see.
uh,
I don't think we got to worry about that quite yet, man.
yeah, that's true, man. Like everything's just crazy right now. I mean, it is where it is. You mentioned Adam. I've intentionally stayed away from that because I don't want to. I'm sure you get tired. Well, not tired. I mean, I know you guys are tired. You guys grew up together, right?
Yeah, we grew up together.
Yeah, I've intentionally not tried to like come around to any of those questions because like, I think I think you're kind of at the point like you're pretty independent of that. Like I don't even really like when I think about your music, I don't really think about country rap. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
no, yeah.
so like, how do you feel sometimes though? Because I feel like there is kind of a tendency to tie you to Upchurch, to tie you to Adam, to tie you to Demon Jones, all those. Do you ever kind of get a little bit upset that like that's kind of where you're pushed, even though you're not really falling into that category?
I don't think so. I don't think I because I think people are just associating me with what they're familiar with.
Yeah,
And I think that they mean it in a compliment anyways.
yeah,
So to me, I just take a compliment for a compliment, you know.
yeah,
Um, and the fact of the matter is that's where you know that's it. There's not a lot of artists that are like pro America or
yeah.
pro rappers. I'm saying like pro America or pro kind of right, or whatever you want to call it. Like, it's just not a very common
Liberty.
theme outside of that genre, outside of that country rap genre.
Yeah, it's
Um, as
liberty.
yeah, as far as rap goes, I mean, rap tends to lean more towards just other areas. I won't really. You just don't have a very big audience. So I know that there's a lot of reasons, and then obviously, um, like just coming on the scene at the same time. So no, I don't ever get, what bothers me is when I get the whole like, hey man, can you give this to so and so? It's like, cool, dude. You know what I mean? Like, or whatever, like, you know, when I become a middleman, that's
Yeah,
and it's if it's approached the right way, it doesn't bother me. But if someone I've never heard of, never talked to, never was, and the first thing out of their mouth or first thing out of the message or whatever is something like that,
yeah,
um, because I'm the type of guy I am, a lot of times, I kind of just whatever, and I might just humor the person, but it's that but I don't really get a lot of that anymore. Maybe it's
yeah.
just because like I kind of put out the energy, like don't do that anymore. I don't know,
Ah,
like
I think you've got your own voice. I mean,
yeah,
legitimately, if I hadn't dug through like a bunch of stuff, and well, I previously hit up a collab with you and Adam, but like if I hadn't dug through, your previous interviews and all that, getting ready for this one, like I probably, wouldn't have even thought to kind of
yeah,
include that piece. But
yeah,
but I know I got a few Upchurch Adam Calhoun fans in the comments, so you're gonna give a shout out to Creek Squad real quick before we go any further.
What's up, Creed Squad? Shout out, shout out. Yeah, no, church is cool people, man. And
Yeah,
you know, Adam, like I said, we grew up together, and Demon's a good dude. Demon's probably the most genuine dude I think I've met in this whole thing.
yeah,
That dude's an OG, man. He's been in the game so long, and just like, I mean, he's been, yeah, he knows the game real good. So I like, yeah. And then, you know, Struggle's a cool dude. I only met him very briefly. Jelly, even briefer. Jelly was
yeah,
like a what up, like that was about it.
yeah.
In Colorado, you know, but most of the people I've met and through the country rap side of things are you know, down to earth cool people, man. So, you know, and I
Sweet.
and I know a lot of people talk, and that because it's kind of a small knit community, so that's why I'm not surprised when I get that comparison.
Wait, you're tied with Broadnex too, right? And
Yeah, Johnny's good dude. Um,
I,
yeah, uh,
I,
go ahead, brother.
I was just gonna say I feel like personally if there's anybody in that country rap umbrella that doesn't get the attention that they deserve, it's Broadnax because like that track
Yeah,
that he put out not too long ago, that NOLA track, like I
Nola's
listened to that
crazy.
thing and I'm like, man, that is what people need to be listening to. Like it goes
Yeah,
hand in hand with Free Pression, you know what I mean?
yeah,
Like
yeah.
that's that song about picking people up.
Yep, Nola's crazy. Me and John are very similar human beings.
Yeah.
Me and him have had some very long, extensive talks, man. Like I said, I travel a lot, and you know we'll chop it up. And yeah, he's got a very similar approach when it comes to music. You know,
Yeah.
as far as you know what he kind of wants to accomplish with it and everything. So yeah, John is a very talented individual, and I agree with you. His music is definitely not. But you know, I was gonna say not heard as much as it could or should be, but um, I don't think he's stripping about that. That's the
Yeah.
cool thing. That's what you know. Him and I have talked, and you know he's cool with the process. You know,
Yeah.
so that's what's cool. You know,
Dude seems
so
super
yeah,
positive. Like he's
yeah,
just
he's
he's got that energy you can get on, you know?
yeah for sure. Yeah, John's a good dude. He reminds me of a very, very good childhood friend that I had that passed away. So I've told him that, and his name was John. So it's even crazier. But I told him it's like I got like a second chance of having my homie back. So
Yeah.
because me and him met obviously recently in the last few years through this music stuff. So um, yeah,
Yeah.
John's a good dude.
Well, let me ask you this because Dan was wondering about collabs that you were looking into, and I've seen in interviews before. You know, you said you'd like to hook up with NF and Joyner.
Yeah,
You'd like to get a track out with Church, um, and then I'm assuming that the ones that you've named right there. You know, you named Struggle. You named. We talked about Broadnex. I don't think you and Broadnex have a track together, but I'd like to hear it if you did. Um,
yeah.
but
We were about it didn't end up getting on Dear Rap, but yeah.
yeah.
So it'll happen.
But what are you looking at? Like, you know, I mean, that one, I think that was from Roast and Review when you talked about that one.
Uh,
But that's been a little way back. That I think that was in December. What are you looking at right now? I want you to name a couple of artists, and then if you're okay with it, you can tell me no if you're not. I'm gonna name a couple of artists, and I want to see kind of if you've even heard of them, and like if you'd be
okay.
down with it.
I will say this. I I don't think um, I don't think I'll be jumping on anything at least until the end of the year.
Yeah,
I don't think I'll be doing anything. Um, but um, as far as there's like some open-ended tracks that are still waiting to get tied up and hopefully happen. Um, yeah, John. John and we were gonna do one, and then we decided to just do. I had a track that I was gonna have him jump on, and we just kept like going back and forth, and then it was like he's like, let's just do something from scratch, and I was like, all right, let's make that happen. So that's one that'll happen. Not sure when. Again, it's like it really is just one of them organic things that when it happens, it's gonna happen. I think Demon's got a feature I'm waiting on. It's just sitting there. Again, when it happens, it happens. But he's got the track. But I know he had a lot of other things ahead of him, so I told him just take your time when we get it. And it was cool. Who else? I've got one that I'm hoping to get Church on. And Struggle and Jelly. Those are the other two guys that I have each individual songs. One that I would like to get Struggle on, one I'd like to get Jelly on. And then, see, the thing is, I would feel like it would be a disappointment to listeners if I did one this way. I have one called Amen, or not Amen, my bad, Grace. And I'm totally cool with 3-verse songs. I've got a lot of those, but I know a lot of people tend to like kind of zone out on 3-verse songs. So I don't know how we would do it, but I have one where I want Jelly on the hook, but I hear more like Struggle on the rap part of it. So I don't know if how that would work.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it. And then obviously NF. I got a song that I believe is right up his alley, but I'm not personally like affiliated with that dude. So
Right.
whether or not that happens that's all God if that happens,
Right.
so, which I'm not going to say will or won't happen. Honestly, I have some very good belief that it will, but at the end of the day, it's in God's hands.
I think you guys both come from kind of a similar mindset, so I think there's a good chance on that. And
Yeah.
then and that actually kind of gets into, there were two artists specifically I wanted to ask you about, to see kind of if you would be open to them at all.
Mm-hmm.
And they're two that I've discovered recently, and mind you, I'm not speaking on behalf of them or anything. I don't know them.
Right.
But what have you ever heard of like Bryson Gray at all?
No.
Or Tyson James? They got they're like the MAGA crew with
I heard of that. Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
the MAGA boys. Like I just I listened to some of their tracks. Like Bryson just dropped one. I checked it out earlier in the week. It was pick up the phone, and literally for the video, he just had like an iPhone image, and it said God was calling, accept, deny, all that. And I'm just thinking through, like, I mean, you guys' message is kind of so in tune.
I have to
Like,
check it out, man. That's interesting. I'd have to check that out.
yeah, I'm just kind of keep looking at this stuff, and I'm like, man, that just makes so much sense. Like, they need to find each other. You know what I mean?
Right. Right. Well,
But
honestly, man, I unless I personally meet people, man, I'm one of these people that like I'm so engulfed in what I do
yeah,
that and it's nothing personal to anybody, man. I know some people might, try to think it that way or take, but I literally just like I said, I write everything, I record everything, I'm shooting videos and I'm editing pretty much every part of the edit, aside from like little itty bitty parts that like I'm still learning how to do.
yeah,
Like I mean, I'm married, I have 2 kids, like you know what I mean? Like
yeah,
I'm trying to balance social media and stay on top of it. So when I say that I don't really look out to other stuff, I just truly, genuinely don't, because I'm liable to have a nervous breakdown if I put too much more on my plate. So my point is like,
yeah,
I'm glad you brought them up, because now that you brought them up, I will go. You know what I mean?
yeah.
But like I know what you're talking about because I know the name. But yeah, I'm so wrapped up in trying to get my own stuff taken care of and done right now, man. I don't even have the luxury, I guess you'll call it, of being a fan of music right now,
Yeah.
which I miss, to be honest.
Yeah, 100%. And like I said, that was all I really wanted to bring up from the from kind of like the collab piece, because I don't
Yeah,
want to get you talking on a bunch of collabs. Like I'm here for you. You know what I mean? Like
I'd
I'm
like
here
to
to talk
see
about music.
collabs.
Yeah,
There's some
man.
collabs. There's some collabs that I'd like to see. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that. So I know like what you mean from like a fan aspect, bro. There's a lot of artists that are just super dope, talented artists that you just want to see what happens when they do something together. You know, I agree.
Yeah. Nah, and that's the thing, those wheels start spinning. Can you tell me about what is that behind you? Is it like a plaque? Like what are we looking at here?
It's a piece of wood.
Okay.
Plaque is made of wood. I shouldn't just call it a piece of wood, but I'm saying it's made of wood. It says free pressing and then Mesus. And actually, do you know Main Man reaction channel? He's
Not.
from Maine, so it's called
Yeah,
MAIN.
yeah, 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 yeah,
Main
yeah,
Man.
yeah.
Yeah, he made this.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he made this for me. I just got it a couple of days ago, actually. So I'm chilling. This is in my prayer room down in the basement. It's about the only quiet place in the whole house. So
Same.
I came down here and yeah, I just set that up on the couch like 2-3 days ago. So he's a good dude, man. I don't know. Speaking of collabs, you're talking about collabs. I don't know if reactors do collabs, but man, maybe that would be cool. He's a cool dude, man. He's a really down to earth guy, man. Real genuine guy.
100% open to it. I've been. There's a couple of reactors that I've actually messaged back and forth on Twitter. Hey, let's set up a collab. We can do it
Yeah,
on Zoom. We can do it on wherever. Like
yeah,
let's hit up this song together. And so far it hasn't worked out. Maybe I'll reach out to him though, because
yeah,
like
yeah. Tell him, man. He's a good dude, man. His real name's Scott.
yeah,
Yeah, he's a cool guy, man.
that's awesome. So
Um,
does he do woodworking? Like because he still
yeah,
does wood. Like
yeah.
that's
Here,
awesome.
I don't know how to move. I don't want to like lose you on the camera, here. But hold on. Let me see if I can flip my camera if it lets me do that. Yeah. So yeah. So it's
Man, that is awesome. Like there's a lot of work into that too.
oh yeah, man. He was like updating me on Instagram like every couple days or whenever he had a chance to do updates on it. But yeah, this is all like you got texture. Like this is flat here, but these are raised. All the letters are raised. Mesus is raised. He's got the free pressing with the X going through. So yeah, man, that was a super dope gift that he made for me, man. I really appreciate it.
And
In
shout out,
doing
man.
that.
Shout out to Main Man for that. That is dope. Like I thought it was a painting when I first saw it, and like I didn't
Uh,
even realize like all the letters are raised and everything. Like that took some work.
yeah, oh yeah, for sure, man.
That's
And
sweet.
that just goes to credit what we were talking about earlier, man, with the free pressing thing, man. Like that is by far the number one artwork thing I've received on is the free pressing thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So I got a couple more comments or questions for you from the comments.
All
Uh,
right.
Amy Lee Forever asks, what denomination are you?
Non.
Same.
Yeah, I don't yeah. I just I don't think well, I know there was no denomination to begin with. And I think the purest way of going about it is just saying, I'm a follower of Jesus. I'm a disciple of Jesus. That's what he said to go and make disciples. And I feel like just like in our society today, the more lines and barriers we put between each other, just kind of more reason to see differences. And I'm not saying differences aren't to be appreciated, but I feel like when you put those lines in between people, our human nature is not to appreciate the differences. It's to then like focus on them. And so, yeah, I just think we should all just drop every denomination and just go back to being disciples of Jesus, which is what the original commission was to make. So, but I mean, I'm not I'm not taking shots. You know what I mean? Like I grew up Catholic. I'm, South suburb of Chicago is all Catholic.
Yeah.
So, I was actually baptized Lutheran. So, go figure that out. I was baptized Lutheran, raised Catholic, and then got invited to like a Reformed church. That was like the first like church I went to after I was saved. And I went there for like 7 years, and I couldn't even told you what denomination I was when I went there for 7 years. Like I didn't even know until after I stopped going there and went to a non-denominational church, and that's what I've basically gone to ever since. That that I was going to a Reformed church. Like I didn't even know. Like I was like, so I don't know. I just, like I said, man, I follow Jesus, and I try to leave it at that, so that it leaves less barriers between me and other people.
Amen, brother. That's what it comes down to too. It's about the Bible. You don't need those extra traditions and everything else.
Yeah,
And
yeah. It just divides people, man, and I'm not for that.
let's see. We got. Let's see. One shout out. I guess it was when I was making the comment about the country rap.
Mm-hmm.
One shout out saying before I go, when you get put in that group, Mesus, it is done in respect, 100%. I think all those dudes are
Yeah,
fantastic. So I
yeah.
don't want you to think I meant it as an insult or anything either.
No, I didn't think you did. No,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't. I think you know, like, never mind. I'm like, well, all right, I'm gonna say because I don't want to go away thinking nothing weird now. But someone else reacted to one of my videos just recently for the first time, and he like watched the first couple minutes, or first couple seconds of it, and then he paused and he's like, "Looks like Hosier," and then like kept going. He kept going,
Yeah.
Dude that ended up doing a very good reaction, and was, it was cool. But I commented, I said, man, I almost shut it off after that Hosier, and he just like, LOL, promise I'll never say it again. Like 3 or 4 people commented on like just going in, and but so if people were throwing me into categories of other people that I didn't really respect or think they meant as a compliment, then I would take it some type of way, I guess, But
Yeah.
yeah, those guys are all, vets, paid their dues, and well respected. So I just take it as a compliment. I mean, I'm not a country rap artist, you know what I mean? And I won't ever actually, in this new song that I'm putting out, I hope people don't really take it as a diss, but I I actually was left off the top 50 country rap artist list that was like put out a year ago.
Yeah.
So if I was a country rapper and I wasn't in the top 50, then I'm not doing something right, because I didn't even know that there was 50, so. So when I got left off that list, I kind of threw it in this song. I said, I ain't make the country rap list. Hey, that shit's so damn funny. Whatever. I'm not tripping, man. Like, to me, like how we just said, denominations, at the end of the day, I'm a rap artist, man. Like,
Yeah.
I don't really get into these subgenres. I think, if you're a rapper, you're a rapper, or an artist, a hip hop artist, or, you know, I just don't like the whole. I understand why they exist, and I'm cool with people categorizing stuff like that. But to me, I'm just like, man, I rap, bro. If I want to rap on a country rap beat, I'm gonna rap on a country. If I want to rap on a trap beat, I'm gonna rap on that. If I rap to dubstep, I'm gonna rap to that. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's So.
Nah, that's where it's at. I had another shout out saying from Caleb Black saying, Mises, I just want you to know, I just want you to know the main reason I love your music so much is because you're always giving credit to God. I love that more than anything, brother from another mother.
Amen.
Amen.
It was well put. There's nothing I can add to that other than that's what I should do,
Yeah.
If he gave me the ability to do it, man, I'd be a damn fool not to.
Yeah.
Literally.
100%. So I know you've been super generous with time with me today. So I'll let you wrap up pretty soon. I got like maybe like 4 more questions. They shouldn't take too long that I want to get through that people have either commented on as a question on one of my reactions, or one question I have for you up front, like what's your beard care routine looks like, man? Like,
Bro, it is my beard care routine is horrible. There is no routine. I went to the gym, gosh, yesterday, I guess.
yeah.
And so bro, my beard, it's hard to see on the black hoodie right now. But my beard was on straight, like two different. It was this one was going this way, and this one was going this way.
Yeah.
And bro, I go to the gym early. I go at like 7, so I look bogus every time I go to the gym. I don't really care, but like this was a whole nother level of bogus. And me and my wife usually go together, and I was like in the middle of working out, and I just stood up and saw myself in the mirror. I was like, and I walked over. I said, "Baby, you gotta braid this. You gotta braid this real quick. I can't have this. I would rather have a big giant braid going down the middle of my beard than this right now." So, but yeah, I don't do anything. I shower and clean it, and sometimes I run a brush through it if it's a good day. Which today was kind of like a half good day. I kind of brushed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't do much, man. I should though. I really should, because apparently, I don't know. I should, I guess.
I think at one point mine was about half as long as yours, and by one point I mean in around February or so, I lost the bet because I thought the Browns would make it to the playoffs. Listen, man, they could have been a wild card team or anything, and I would have kept it.
Man.
Last year, man, tell me you looked at the Browns roster last year and thought they were going to lay an egg, man. Come on.
The Browns. I had a funny story with the Browns. I met I was in Cleveland, and I ended up going to some steak place after a game and met like a bunch of the guys at the steakhouse, and ended up going out with them like the whole rest of the night, and we will just leave the whole rest of the night. Yeah, like, dude, it was I never seen money spent the way I saw it spent, because it was like the whole I didn't even know. I only knew one of the guys, and it was like the whole like defense or off. I don't even remember, man. But these dudes are just enormous human beings with like chains on that are like literally $1 million or something. You know what I mean? And these guys are just throwing money around, like, and I'm just like, what the hell? Like, yeah, must be nice to be an NFL player. That's all I gotta say.
I've always pictured like NFL teams, like when they go out to dinner after a game or something, I've always pictured that being like a frat party on crack, like when a bunch of frat boys get together, go out.
It was that.
Yeah.
It was totally that. I was just like, whoa. I'm like, I'm good, bro. I don't need to do this.
Right. So tell me what's in your car right now? I know like you post a lot of like Instagram videos, listening to music and stuff like that, but you're usually listening to your own, like besides your own music.
Those are just to like give little sneak peeks or whatever. I don't usually ride around bumping myself, unless I'm trying to figure out a video, like what a video to shoot. Honestly, man, I don't have a lot in there, but like I'm a big fan of NF. I do really love his music. I love Joyner. I love man, Minio, if you know who he is. Andy Minio.
Yeah, no, I've got a ton of requests to check out stuff.
And you should do one, because he's a beast. Yeah, Minio, I really like him. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm usually working so much I don't listen to a lot, but like, yeah, NF, Minio, I like Kanye. I like old stuff. I like M. I like Twista, Nas.
You notice all my House of Crazies in the background? That why you said you like Twisted?
No, Twist Up. Twist Up.
Oh, okay. My bad. My bad.
Yeah, with an A.
My bad. My bad.
You're
We
good.
won't. We won't talk about that other one then.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, man. That's I mean, I gotta mine's I don't that's probably the top artist when I'm zoning out and I just want to bump something for a little bit. I'll throw
Yeah.
those guys on.
Okay. A question that just popped up in the chat because I want to save my big question for after. Um, One question from my patron Penta asked, "Do you like a mustache or not?" And he said specifically because I have said in the past that I hate having a mustache. But again, your mustache is much more vibrant than mine, so I don't know if we got the same beef with him.
So I just had a conversation this morning with my brother-in-law because my wife keeps telling me to trim this thing. She's just like, I can't even see your lips no more.
Yeah.
So my brother-in-law is kind of good with the clippers, so I said I might have to get over there before she kills me, man. But yeah, I the only thing I hate is when I try to eat anything you gotta like hold in your hand.
Yeah.
Like with a fork or anything, I'm good. But if I'm taking a bite of a burger, like I can't tell you how many times I've bit my own mustache,
Yeah.
and then a tear just tear just comes down. Like it's a very painful thing. But yeah, I like it. I don't like the little short one that kind of like just lines the.
Yeah.
Not the looks cool. It doesn't. I don't feel like it goes good with a
Right.
beard like this full.
You talking about right on the lip, like that
Well,
little
just
thing?
not like a little line. I mean, like you can have a full one, but I'm just talking about where it just ends on the lip type of thing.
Oh yeah, you're
I
talking
just
about
feel.
my mustache. Okay, I feel you.
I'm just saying it don't. Well, no, with a beard like that's literally to your belly button at this point.
Yeah.
Like I feel like it just don't work good.
Yeah.
And mine for whatever reason, it kind of is like a little pokey, and I
Yeah.
don't like that on my lips. So, but it's like, what do they call it? Six one way, half a dozen the other. It's like, I either deal with that or I deal with biting it if I let it grow as long as it is now. So.
Yeah. No, I feel that. I can't stand having a mustache because it starts going up my nose after a little while, and
Yeah.
to me, that's just the end of the world when I'm constantly sitting here plucking at
Yeah.
my nose or something
Yeah.
because
I've done that too. I've had to do that too. Or you got to pull them. You get the
yeah,
like just the random ones that just want to. And I'm
yeah.
like, I probably once a day or so I do that. And she laughs at me when I do that too because you're like,
Well,
you got to.
I'll tell you my worst story because I don't re-record any content for my reaction videos. Like I do my reaction. I don't want it to be fake. Like I don't want it to be, oh, I heard this song already and now I'm telling you my thoughts or anything like that. And so when I do these videos, it's literally the first time I'm either hearing the video or seeing or hearing the song or seeing the video or something. And I did this one reaction. It was the first time I'm introducing like my channel to a whole new fan base and everything. And I'm sitting there, my mustache kept going up my nose, and so I'm sitting there the whole video like tugging at this thing, and I'm just like, it's got like non. I don't even know where that thing's at. It's one of the most watched videos on my channel, and so like it's got like 2,000 comments or something like that, and half of them are people telling me, "Man, you got to stop playing with your nose." I'm like, "Yeah, man, like I know, like I'm not, I don't do that."
They don't understand, man. Struggle is real.
Oh, it is. It's horrible. So the last thing I want to ask is about the Rap Jesus track, because I did a reaction to that remix the other day that you put up, and
Okay.
a couple of questions came out because I mean I mean I'm not putting words in your mouth, but you took shots at Eminem and MGK on that track.
I did.
So like, where do you stand? I want to say first of all, I really enjoy the "I'm not afraid of Mr. Not Afraid" line because I didn't even pick up on that when I was going through my reaction to it. Like I missed that, and it wasn't even the first time I'd heard that song, I don't think.
Yeah.
And like I'm doing the reaction, and then I went back, and as I'm editing the reaction, I'm like, oh my god, like he just said I'm not afraid of Mr. Not Afraid, and then I thought about the Eminem track, Not Afraid. I'm like, he
I'm
just said
not
I'm not afraid
afraid.
of Eminem. And so, so where you at? Was that kind of like, was that more in fun? Like, where you at
Yeah,
on MGK and Eminem?
that was all fun. It was fun. Like I said, so you know how that's two parts, right? That song's two
yeah,
parts. The first part of that is is F was F bombs originally. That song was called F bombs because literally like there's one part in that song where I'm just like middle finger this, middle finger that, middle finger this, middle finger that, and it's like F this, F this, F before, and like
yeah,
and yeah, I cuss and stuff in my music, but I kind of just like let it all out because I was like, if I'm gonna do it, I might as well just go overboard because anybody who still rocks with me after this, I know I'm good. Like that was kind of
yeah,
my idea with that, and it was originally just going to be a song called F Bomb, and I was going to put it out, and there was no, it had nothing to do with that, and then that happened, and I was like, I heard the beat um to what's it called, to Rap Devil,
yeah,
and I rapped it, and I was like, bro, that goes like perfect with that,
yeah,
and so I was like, but I can't just spit that verse and put that out because like I don't say anything about the battle, I don't say anything about the beef, I don't say
yeah.
anything about MGK or nothing or M. So then that's where I was like, all right, I'm gonna take both the tracks and do like a remix, and so yeah, I just playfully took some jabs at him. There's nothing, you know, Eminem, uh, Eminem and MGK, to be honest, are both very, very talented artists. Like,
Yeah.
obviously, in my opinion, Eminem is the best, and I would say he's the best because there's on all, like, no matter how you rate the best, like if you do it off numbers, he's there. Which, you know, that's the way some people do things, some people don't, right? If you do it off of lyrical ability and his ability, and that breaks down into so many things, but like the ability to describe or talk about anything,
Yeah.
and do it in a way that is lyrically engaging, lyrically entertaining, and as intricate and cadence, like talented wise, like whether he speeds it up, slows it down, does some like awkward, like, you know, unorthodox delivery. Like, I don't think there's anyone that's reached even a popular level, like even not necessarily his popularity, but just even like mainstream. I don't think, and I could be wrong, but I don't think there's anyone that's achieved as much as he has and that has the ability that he has. Um,
I think he's an icon. I mean, like legitimately, like I mean, you look at posters on people's walls, you know, talking about reaction channels. Like No Life Shack has a
yeah,
Eminem poster in his background, you know, and that same poster is in like a 13-year-old girl's bedroom wall,
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
like Eminem's
yeah,
just kind of transcended like the whole culture. Like I get that.
yeah. And then I think, honestly, I think, you know, to be fair and on the same scale, I feel like the next person you got to say is Jay-Z.
Yeah,
And I feel like, again, for the same reasons, like if you look at numbers, I don't think anyone has more number one albums than him, um, including the Beatles. Like I think he's got more number one albums than like any artist in any genre. Um, but I don't think numbers wise he's outsold M. I'm pretty sure M outsold him like units
yeah,
wise. But you know, and then you look at his impact on the business side of it, like,
yeah,
you know, he really inspired a lot of these artists that are like making their own labels and all this other stuff, like, you know. And then lyrically, his ability to tell his story and his ability and switch his flow up and cadences up. So um you
yeah.
know, I think there's an argument for either one of those guys as far as like, you know, it's kind of like what's your preference, but I think M edges that out just on the I think M just rap bar for bar is just a little bit better of a rapper than Jay is, but Yeah, no, there's no personal nothing between me or either one of those guys.
Well, and that's. I mean, I feel you on that because like that's. I did an NBA young boy reaction. You don't have to respond to the name drop. Don't respond to the name drop. You know, but like I did a young boy reaction a little while back, and I'm like, this is just such garbage. Like when Jay Z albums are on shelves, like why would you buy this crap? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
and I got dogged in the comments for it and everything, but like you said, I mean, Jay Z is able to share his story. I mean, and he's got a hell of a story. Like, I mean, coming from
yeah,
where he came from, like coming
yeah,
through, and like you can listen to his music and he does it, and I'm like, you know, it's his voice. It's not auto tune. It's not got like 30 layers of
yeah,
garbage put on top of it, and and that's one thing I really respect about your music as somebody who's actually been on the production side of music before. You know, when I listen to your music, like I hear your speaking voice, you know what I mean? Like I hear your voice coming through in that. And it's like, you know, with him, I can hear, yeah, he's got the doubles and everything, but he don't do a ton else besides
yeah,
adding that second vocal layer. And
yeah.
that's what I look for in a lot of rap music. Is like, are you actually talented? Like, are you able to rap, or are you just
Right.
coming out for a harmony? If you're coming out for a harmony, that's cool. Lil Peep's huge. Like, you know,
Yeah.
like it's got its place if you're putting those
Right.
effects, but be upfront about it. Like, don't
Yeah.
claim you're a rapper and then come out with this trash, like 30
Yeah.
layers of auto tune and stuff.
Yeah. There's definitely, and those two, M and J, those, those guys, I think they could make albums till they die and they're still going to have their fan base and they're still going to do numbers, just because who they are. But, I think the game is definitely moved past them for sure to a guy, but I'm glad to see that there's guys still carrying that torch.
Yeah.
Jay signing one of them, I guess, so to speak, being J. Cole. I think J. Cole is definitely in that conversation, and he's got some incredible songs, man. Like, and you got guys like Kendrick, and so there's definitely new school guys, I would say for sure, that are carrying the torch and walking right in their footsteps for sure. You know what I mean? Like it's not the game. There'll always be that lane. It's kind of like rock and roll, like how rock and roll started. Then you had like really the original rock and roll just became classic rock and roll because it became old. So
Yeah.
it's like classic now. But then you had punk rock and you got whatever else, like alternative rock, and you get all these different kind of sub genres of rock. Just like now in rap, you kind of got guys that auto tune everything. You know what I mean? And that's kind of basically a genre of itself as far as like that stop mumble, whatever you want to call it, mumble. And to some artists, to like artists like myself or artists like I was just talking about, you know, that's to us, that's like, oh, that's whack. That's not. But to whoever's a fan of that, they're that's rap that they know, like,
Yeah.
because it started. There's a lot of people that were saying like Southern rap, like when it first started coming, like Crunk, like Lil Jon and all that.
Yeah.
Like people were like, that's whack. And obviously Lil Jon ain't like a lyricist, but I mean some of the guys that he would make beats for, and then they go get on and and within, I'm sure there's guys in that quote mumble rap genre that actually could spit, and they just realized, they're young kids, and they're like, that ain't. They're probably like, I can make more money in this lane. You know what I mean? And they just
Yeah.
went that way. So it's like, I don't necessarily knock people and think they're not talented, or I might lyrically throw shots here and there just because, like, when you're in the ring, when you're in the sport or whatever you want to call it of hip hop, like, I feel like there's no whole bars on that. You know what I mean? But like as individuals, I can totally see why people take calculated steps to
Yeah.
go, because the way the game is now, man. I mean, there's a very small, another reason why people say I'm underrated. Well, there's not a lot as many people that appreciate the kind of music that I try to make and try to
Yeah.
aspire for. I try to make things, and that's always been a rule of thumb. The simpler, the better, and the more popular mainstream. But it's even more so in hip hop because hip hop's just become more commercialized and dumbed down, and but I'm not gonna switch up my style for that.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and it gets views, and that's what I tried to say. And the one time that I hit up Youngboy, that was what I tried to say there too. Like, it's for somebody. I can understand why somebody likes it. I just don't like it.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
that's where I'm at. Um, I believe your wife, Luana, is your wife, right?
yes.
Okay. I believe she just commented saying hi, Charles. Um,
Hey, baby. I did. I didn't miss your messages. I promise. I'm gonna get back to you.
I'll wrap it up because I'm guessing she's looking for you. My wife's probably looking for
She
me
wants to
too.
know if I left the steak out to de-thaw, and I didn't, baby. So don't kill me. It's Tyler's fault. I'm just kidding.
It is my fault. I've been harassing this man, so it's I mean.
No, 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 no. You could try it, bro. You could try it. Don't matter. You could try to save me. She gonna kill me anyway. Love you, baby.
So that's why you didn't answer me?
Is that what she said?
Yeah.
I can't. It would have ended the video.
No, my wife and my daughter are probably getting pretty hungry too. I didn't realize exactly how long we've been running, man, but you gave me a ton of time, and so I mean we'll wrap this short. I want to tell you, before we get off, because I don't want to downplay it. I appreciate 100%. You coming on the channel. I know I hit you off guard to even start this conversation, and so like 100%, you didn't even have to respond to me like when you did. So means more than you probably realize. That you even came on the channel for any of that. So 100% appreciate that, man.
Bro, it's Johnny, like we were talking about Broadnex, show love, get love, man. It's a bro, we're all doing this together, you know what I mean? And I'm just grateful that people appreciate what I'm trying to do, man. So, it's love, bro. It's all love, man.
100%. Well, I mean, you're welcome. You're welcome anytime. Anytime there's anything that this channel can do for you, man. I'm 100% behind you, man. Because I got 100% love for you, man. Like, love the message in your music. Looking forward to your next album. Looking forward to St. Mesus. Looking forward to everything that you're working on, man. 100%. But I appreciate you being on the channel. You got anything that you want to shout out? Anything you want to tell anybody about? Anything like that to kind of close it out or anything?
Just Dear Rap, man. I mean, that would be the only kind of most, Dear Rap is on pre-order now. I would greatly appreciate if you went and picked that up. I would think it won't disappoint. I hope it won't disappoint. Yeah, man, keep God first, man. Always keep God first, man. I don't know if that's the popular thing to say, but I don't really care. So keep God first, and if you guys don't see me again, it's because my wife killed me because I did not leave the steak out. And the reason it's 2 days in a row. I don't want you thinking my wife's crazy. I'm a jerk for this one. I forgot twice.
Well, she down in the comments saying that she loves the channel and that everyone's very humble and she's got some hearts and things down there. So I don't think she's too mad at you. I think she's cool.
She's not mad. She's not mad because she knows that means we're just gonna go out to somewhere real expensive tonight because I messed up.
My wife right before this, she told me there's a Japanese steakhouse in town here. And right before we got on here, she asked me what I was going to do about food before we went live and all that. And I was like, I said, I don't know. I said, you can run out and grab something if you want to. And she's like, no, that's fine. She's like, you're working hard today. She's like, just we can all go out there after you get done to the Japanese place. And I'm like, yeah. I'm like that's like the cost of a meal for us and a kid's meal is probably about what we would eat in a week or so. So like,
yeah, thanks. Hey, you guys got good barbecue out there though, right?
Oh yeah, man. Like,
all right, we're gonna have to hit that up when I come through Kentucky, man. Next time I'm out that way.
I'll tell you, man, hit me up because I'll show you the places nobody gets to, and we'll get some real food or something like that.
It might just save my butt, because I'll bring some back home on my way back next time. And she always wants me to bring back some barbecue on my way home. So But,
Nice.
all right, man.
Well, I appreciate it 100%. Shout out in the stream for anybody watching. The link
Yeah.
to Mesus has got his pre-order on all of his videos that have dropped lately for the new album coming out. It's also in the description on this live stream. So if you guys click on that, that'll take
Thank
you
you,
out.
sir.
I think it's a campsite link.
Yeah, it's campsite. So it's like it's basically like a website that just hosts all the links to get to my social media and merch and all that stuff. But the very top one is the Dear Rap pre-order. So yeah, you just click the link, and then as soon as it opens up, the very top thing says Dear Rap, and you just click on that.
All right, and then one thing I missed. Do you know Zoe Flame at all? I believe Zoe Flame may have made some tracks about you, but somebody thinks that they might secretly be in love with you, and I don't want to ignore somebody that asked earlier on in the chat.
I heard that there was a couple diss raps out about me. I honestly have never listened to any of them. So
all right, man. Well, I've stalled and delayed enough.
No, you're good.
Wanted to make sure that I got that out, but I appreciate your time for showing up on the channel anytime. If you're ever
That's
interested,
hilarious.
anytime if you're ever interested in being back on, if you're ever need anything I can help you with, anything that the channel can do for you to push you, help you out, whatever the case may be, man. Anything, because 100%, man, I'm behind. We all walk our individual paths, and
Yeah.
I just happen to think mine and yours align a little bit more than maybe most people. So
Hey,
appreciate what you're doing and love it, and appreciate you coming on the channel.
I appreciate the opportunity, man. I had a good time.
I did too. Thanks.
All right, brother. I'll talk to you.
All right, see you, brother.
All right, peace.